Folks, welcome back. We're going to be getting into, I think that was actually the thing that set us here, but we're going to be getting into the grand final right now. Super Frogs up against the boys. Who's going to take it? We'll find out shortly. This one's going to be a best of 7, second grand final of the day. My name is Rich. I'm joined by Zico, Super Tees, and Venruki. And let's talk about the history between these teams. 6 cups so far. They've been the top 2 teams thus far. What does the head-to-head look like in your mind?
Super Frogs has been the team that's been pulling ahead a little bit, but at the same time, the Warlock nerf is really, really beneficial towards the boys. If you guys didn't know, Demon armor got nerfed a little bit, and that's going to be reducing the physical armor of the Warlock, which means he's going to be taking more damage from physical sources. Now, who has a lot of physical damage on their team? The boys. They play pretty much only melee cleaves so far in the tournament. Been playing a lot of DK and Windwalker, and even seeing them earlier with that Demon Hunter, they're looking super good, and they should have the edge going into this one. I want to see if Super Frogs potentially has cooked up some new compositions maybe in the kitchen.
Yeah, the composition kitchen, definitely the place where dreams can be made or dreams can die. And if they haven't cooked up something a little bit spicy.
I didn't know things came to die in a kitchen.
In the bakery, they might.
It's not easy out here.
G-pies are deadly.
G-pies are very deadly indeed, but also very delicious. Venruki, who do you think comes out on top in this one?
That's a good question. I feel like with the changes that have been implemented, I still believe that Mage Lock Druid can have the edge. With the way Channel has been kiting, it's been really, really nice with Wealthy Man. I kind of wonder if the boys are expecting them to lock that in blind, because if they are, I don't know. I feel like it is going to come down to that same matchup we've seen time and time again. And the boys definitely, they have the opportunity to win, especially with some of the nerfs to the Destruction Warlock. But at the end of the day, I still have to favor the Super Frogs in that matchup.
I also do want to say I just got confirmation from everybody in the back. A real quick shout out. 6 weeks, you're away from home, you're traveling. And it's always just such a wonderful experience because we all get to, first of all, be together on the desk, but there are so many faces that you don't see necessarily on the stream that make this show possible. And it really is like having a second family out here. So thank you to everybody who's in the back, making sure that everything works. And also thank you for the update as well. We're going to have a tiebreaker match between our 2 squads fighting to get to LAN, and that's going to happen right after the grand final. So we have that bonus round that's going to happen. And I remember the first time we had cups last year, we were right here, and the same thing happened. Last time it was in the EU. Reformed managed to get out on top due to family members literally gatekeeping inside of a tournament. And we had that rematch. Reformed wins. They barely make it to LAN, and then they win the entire thing. We're going to have to see if North America can deliver that as well, or if that's going to be something that EU will keep as an accolade just for that region. But I'm excited for this one. I'm very excited for this one. I can't believe 6 weeks has already gone by. It's been a good time. It's been nice to see all you guys again.
Time flies when you're having fun.
Certainly does. Certainly does. You're a good roommate, too. You are.
Even though you make fun of me for having no mustache, you're a good roommate, too, Rich.
I've had a good time. I've had a really good time.
Well, now he doesn't have a mustache either, Sid, so...
Yeah, now we're on even playing field. No longer can I be mocked.
Except you have a beard.
All right. Well, now I'm on the bad end of the totem pole. But, Sid, when we do look at this matchup, though, who do you think comes out on top? And also, for anybody at home, let's refresh everybody's memory on where these 2 teams currently do stand as far as rankings are concerned.
The Super Frogs are the #1 point holder right now, and will remain so, as there's only a 20-point difference between first and second, which is still important. And it means that the boys need consistent top finishes if they want to overthrow that point standing. They also really rely on the Super Frogs to kind of have a blowout in one of the cups in summer season. Although these 2 teams could easily win the whole thing in the spring finals and just qualify directly, and then their points are suddenly irrelevant. So either side competing with each other may not matter if they can win at the LAN, but of course facing Europe, it's not going to be so simple and it's not going to be so easy. But obviously the boys, since the recent changes last week, look to try and overthrow the Super Frogs here today. The last time we'll see these teams go head to head before they play on the stage live.
And also I do want to mention that we have a similar scenario in both NA and EU, with the 2 top teams just consistently making it to the grand final, and you can only get a 20-point jump a 20-point jump if that scenario keeps playing out. If you are in second place and you are going up against that team in first week again, and only getting like, it's just not enough. It's going to be nearly impossible to overtake teams. As of right now, I believe there's a 100-point differential between these two squads, and interesting calls coming out. Zico, what caught your eye?
Well, first of all, we have the Mistweaver versus Rested Druid matchup. And I said earlier that I wasn't really rating Goreki's Mistweaver Monk to the same level of Lunis. Let's see if he can prove me wrong. And the other thing is, of course, Thugonomics is going to be brought in, and that is a good response to a lot of these wizards, because this composition has a lot of burst damage and a lot of stops on the side of the boys. So the boys really throwing a curveball here, then Super Frogs kind of just taking the bait.
I really wonder if the boys should be implementing the Elemental Shaman Destruction Warlock composition. Smexon has been playing Elemental Shaman a lot. I think that would be a respectable answer for the Frost Mage Destruction Warlock. Cubsy's having a field day, re-stealthing constantly and stunning effectively the entire team of the boys with that. Greki moves in, secures crowd control. It was a preemptive Iron Bark that should deny the ice block. Lots of damage. Wealthy Man gets Ring of Peace back into the fight in line of sight of Thugonomics, and I do like that synergy, the Ring of Peace from the Monk, allowing the knockback effect so that if someone tries to escape out of line of sight, they simply can't, and the Thugonomics can rain down terror with Chaos Bolts. And this maneuver could be what allows the boys to find victory in game number 1, and winning the blind is very important when these teams are so diverse in their compositions.
I'm actually kind of surprised Gorecki decided to lock in the Mistweaver Monk instead of the Restoration Druid. I feel like with the Feral Affinity, it could have been a decent answer to help assist his team with additional stuns and more damage, but opting not to do so, going with the Way of the Crane. Mistweaver Monk instead, pushing forward. Chun-Li taking a whole bunch of damage there by Chanimal, but Diffuse Magic saves the day. But Chun-Li only has one more defensive cooldown left. That Touch of Karma, and it actually gets traded out. And there's still Dark Soul for Chanimal. There's still Icy Veins for Wealthy Man. Things are looking good for the Super Frogs. Chun-Li a very vulnerable target right now. Thugonomics in a good position to just smoke Chanimal. A lot of damage going to be used. Unending Resolve forced to be traded out. That's a really long cooldown Chanimal just used in order to survive that last attack.
Very interested to see if they can manage to pull off a kill on Chun-Li moving forward now with Icy Veins and Dark Soul. Huge damage already. Chun-Li retreats back to the pillar with Gorecki, looking to reconvene. Another disadvantage of bringing in the Mistweaver Monk is you are susceptible to interrupts, of which there are 2 on the team of Super Frogs, the Spell Lock of Chanimal and the Counter Spell of Wealthy Man. Although these interrupts will likely have to be used on Thugonomics, as he is such a threat with Fear and Chaos Bolt. So I'm curious to see where they decide to place their interrupts. Currently both on cooldown, so Chun-Li should be able to recover even though he dips very low on health in this position. Perhaps Super Frogs should be rotating those interrupts a bit differently, trying to save one, potentially to net a kill by being able to interrupt Gorecki. That could have been a moment of opportunity to kill Chun-Li, but they don't find it. Cycloning him up instead. Gorecki looked like he wanted to cross midfield, but then immediately pulled back as Chun-Li got cycloned. Chanimal gets denied. Wealthy Man double blinks in, secures the Polymorph for the team. Good crowd control. He's full on icicles, dropping all 5 now on Chun-Li, but really not scratching his health. Denied on the follow-up with that leg sweep. Thugonomics interrupting Chanimal, but Gorecki was not able to make it back to the pillar in time. That now means that Thugonomics can rain down that Gladiator's Maledict and Chaos Bolts. Cubsy denies the kill with Iron Bark. The boys then switch targets to Chanimal, trying to create pressure in multiple places. Good tactic to burn Restoration Druid's mana, as Life Bloom is expensive, and to switch it onto multiple targets is going to be an inefficient way to heal. So the boys could find victory through mana by switching targets if they continue to do this.
Yep, definitely. Have to see how mana plays out for both of these teams. Cubsy has been known to sneak away and get drinks in the past, able to recover his mana quite heavily. Thugonomics in midfield right now, looking for some damage, gets bashed up by Cubsy. That's denied. Wealthy Man now looking to get aggressive on a Thugonomic. And I think Chanimal and Wealthy Man, they might at some point be able to just crowd control up Chun-Li. And if Thugonomics is in midfield, that's a great target for them to just throw their spells at. Really tax Gorecki's mana quite a bit. Cubsy in the meantime, I think he's in the backfield looking to potentially get out of combat, sneak away for a drink and recover his mana, but no, Chun-Li shuts that down with a paralysis. So he looks to get some damage rolling, but so far, Chun-Li really hasn't been able to get too much done. No Touch of Death available for another minute and 10 seconds, and until dampening, I don't feel like Chanimal is really that great of a target for them. Might have to start turning their attention onto Wealthy Man, but the problem with that is once you leave Wealthy Man or once you tunnel down Wealthy Man, you need Chanimal alone. That's going to be really difficult to deal with. Chanimal's going to have a spammable Fear, a lot of damage, Shadow Fury that the boys will have to deal with, so it's kind of a double-edged sword. Really, the boys have to pick their poison. Do they go after the mage or do they go after the warlock? Which one is going to be limited in damage? Which one is going to get shut down on their crowd control? Those are the things you have to consider as the boys moving forward.
Moving into the spring finals, I think it's important to take into consideration the Super Frogs are pretty much the only roster to run this Frost Mage Destruction Warlock Restoration Druid, or at least to the same level that they are running it. And perhaps it could be the X factor for their team to find victory and qualify to the World Finals. The boys need to try and craft an answer. They're going to lead in the blind pick with Windwalker, Destruction Warlock, a fairly well-balanced composition, both bringing in ranged and physical damage to the fray. Good support with Ring of Peace as well, but it may not even be enough to overcome the overwhelming pressure that the Super Frogs can build later into dampening. And then where do you go if you're the boys? Do you continue trying this Windwalker Warlock, or do you tag in Spexen on the Elemental Shaman, try and bring in a Wizard to battle the Wizards? Infernals have landed for Chanimal. He's going to be ramping up for huge damage. Very important as a Destruction Warlock after Infernals that you use Rain of Fire. This is an instant cast way to spend your Soul Shards, and during your Infernals with the Grimoire Supremacy talented, it increases the damage of your next Chaos Bolt. Then after you've ramped up your Chaos Bolt damage, you pop your Dark Soul. So Chanimal has Dark Soul currently active, and his next Chaos Bolt will be as big as it pretty much can get. And it looks like they're trying to stall it out, and they've managed to stall it out until Dark Soul has faded. So Chanimal's ramp was completely destroyed here by the boys. They've definitely done their homework, and they've shut him down on this push.
Yep, Thugonomics still in a decent position here at the pillar, trying to avoid as much damage as possible while also being a turret for his team. Finds one big Chaos Bolt. It gets reflected. Nicely done by Chanimal. That Nether Ward was beautiful. Gorecki, as a response, has to trade out the Life Cocoon. Looking at mana once again, you can see Gorecki on the Mistweaver Monkey actually has a big lead here. 8% dampening. What is Chun-Li going to be able to get done? He's just getting controlled so much in midfield. He's not feared. He's polymorphed. He's caught into roots. And Thugonomics and Gorecki, they haven't been able to back him up too much. I think Thugonomics is actually going after the pet right now of Chanimal. If he can shut that down, potentially free up Gorecki to get out of combat and look for some drinks to reset his mana. And oh no, this is bad. Very bad for the Super Frogs right now. Very bad for the boys. Cubsy actually sat down, completely recovered all of his mana. This is a little bit disastrous for the boys. That was one of their main win conditions. But a big offensive push here onto Chanimal. They might be able to take him down. He catches a huge heal by Cubsy, using that Innervate to make all his heal spells free of cost. He can use very expensive healing to quickly catch up Chanimal and Wealthy Man's HP.
Gorecki still has Way of the Crane. Maybe they're looking for an all-in Crane attack to try and take out Super Frogs in game number 1. Gorecki's held onto it for some time. The difficulty of that is that when you move in with Way of the Crane, you're susceptible to crowd control, of which the Super Frogs have a plethora of. So Gorecki will have to navigate through with his teammates interrupting these crowd control abilities so that he can connect with Way of the Crane. But then if they focus all their interrupts on crowd control, then there's big damage abilities such as Chaos Bolt and Ebon Bolt and Ray of Frost that they will not have interrupts for, although Way of the Crane should be enough to heal through that. So I want to see the boys coordinate together, protect Gorecki during Way of the Crane, make a big push, try to get an ice block, maybe some more Gladiators, Maledicts combos as well. This is a good way to overwhelm a Restoration Druid's heal over time effects. So far we have not seen any big pushes from the boys, and they continue to fall behind.
Definitely, this is not looking that great for the boys. They lack control in this matchup. That's one of the benefits that Super Frogs has. With this mage in this lock, they have spammable crowd control. They can just control up Chun-Li, deny a lot of the healing and damage that he has available. Chun-Li now getting bashed. Life Cocoon trades out from Gorecki. That was really nice control from Cubsy. Chun-Li traded out the Touch of Karma, and then before he could get topped off by Gorecki, Cubsy cycloned him, waiting out the duration of the Touch of Karma. Then a lot of burst damage came in, and because of that, Gorecki had to respond with the Life Cocoon. Now Chun-Li's a vulnerable target. No Touch of Karma, no Fortifying Brew once it fades. And then Chanimal and Wealthy Man can start really ripping in. We're at 22% dampening at this point in the game. It's going to be difficult for Gorecki to really heal through the damage that Wealthy Man and Chanimal have available, whereas for Super Frogs, they still have so much control in their favor, they can really limit the damage output the boys have available.
All right, let's see what they can get done. Man is basically even at this point with dampening ramping up to critical mass. Infernals have ramped for Chanimal. He's ready to go. He's got Dark Soul and Icy Veins comboed together. Big Chaos Bolt straight to Chun-Li. Diffuse Magic denies the follow-up damage for now. Way of the Crane, this is the push. This is what Gorecki has been waiting for. Can they disrupt the crowd control onto his Way of the Crane? No, Polymorph lands. Way of the Crane gets shut down. Thuganomics, though, looks to ramp up. He gets nether warded by Chanimal on that Chaos Bolt. Good reaction. Thuganomics is still continuing to ramp, though. Now popping the Dark Soul. These Chaos Bolts are huge. He's got Nether Ward up. They cannot be stopped. One Chaos Bolt connects. Not able to find the second, but they do manage to pull Unending Resolve from Chanimal, and he continues to fall behind. Perhaps the boys have opportunity here to kill Chanimal.
Yeah, definitely Chanimal. Vulnerable target right now in midfield. Can't really get away. Force Destruction, Warlock's armor was a little bit nerfed from that Demon Skin change in the last patch, so Chanimal definitely going to be a little bit more vulnerable to Chun-Li, but it still just doesn't seem like Chun-Li has the damage right now to get much done against Chanimal. Wealthy Man just spamming out Frostbolts, looking to reload that Frost Mage damage. Gorecki moves in, lands full leg sweep. What is Chun-Li gonna do? He gets bashed into a pounce, has to shrink it out. No touch of karma. Chun-Li's so vulnerable, gets Vortex back, flailing to survive in midfield. Gorecki luckily has the life cocoon as a safety net to keep him alive, but Chun-Li, that was way too aggressive. Has to trade out his entire defensive arsenal. Cubsy really punishing him. You can't blame him. He's trying to shut down the drink, but Cubsy easily punishes him with a double stun combo. Now Chun-Li still, he's got to be a little bit scared in this situation.
Yeah, how is he going to get out of it? Gorecki's only got enough mana for a couple more Waves of the Crane, and they've got maybe a little bit of a window of time to get a kill onto Chanimal, but they have to do it 4 times. Likely to be this composition for the rest of the series from the Super Frogs until the boys have a definitive answer. So, moving forward against all odds here, and so difficult even in game number 1, to do it 4 times is basically a feat of strength in this game at the moment. Dampening now at 36%. Gorecki's almost tapped. He's not got many more opportunities left. There's still a minute and 25 to let Unending Resolve to kill Chanimal. Chun-Li gets Mortal Coiled on the Fist of Fury. Chanimal with total shutdown. Goes for a Shadow Fury, gets Spell Locked, then goes for a Chaos Bolt, gets denied. Now Chaos Bolt's flying in from Thuganomics, 2 tagging in with that Gladiator's Maledict. A big push for the boys here, but Iron Bark of Cubsy appears to be more than enough to deflect.
That paralysis onto Cubsy. Chanimal taking some damage as you saw Gorecki use the last little bit of his mana for a Way of the Crane push, but didn't get anything done. And once again, Super Frogs, they have the boys completely pinned up against the pillar. They're out of line of sight. They're trying to avoid damage, but this is not a situation you want to be in. As the boys, the Super Frogs, all their cooldowns are resetting. Look at Chanimal, only 40 seconds left on that Unending Resolve, and once that rotates back up off cooldown, it's going to be really difficult for them to push through that. In the meantime, Chun-Li just getting smoked. Diffuse Magic looking to be enough to run away. Does manage to get behind the pillar, but Ray of Frost still channeling. Chun-Li has to be a little bit careful, but you can't blame him. He's trying to start building some pressure for his team. It's just really difficult.
Yeah, that window of opportunity is going to be lost in 17 seconds from now when Unending Resolve becomes available. Thuganomics in trouble. Cubsy moves in, adding in that Feral Affinity spice. It is not so nice for Thuganomics. He ducks for cover. The entire team pillaring for their lives. Chun-Li as well now caught in center field. Chaos Bolt hits him. Stun connects. He pre-fortified Elixired right before Cubsy opened. That was nice moves by Chun-Li. Soaks some hits and stays alive, but the whole team under fire. Huge flurry from Wealthy Man. Thuganomics takes that. 50% dampening incoming. Gorecki's completely tapped on mana. Nether Ward from Thuganomics desperately to stabilize, but Unending Resolve exchanged as well. Chaos Bolt trade, but Wealthy Man still got 2 ice blocks. There's no way you're killing him. Chun-Li in center field uses the Touch of Karma right as Infernals have landed. Maybe an opportunity for Chun-Li to go all in. He says, no way, I'm getting out of here, but now Thuganomics is left behind.
Yeah, Thuganomics caught in midfield, all snared up. Just a perfect target for Wealthy Man and Chanimal to take him down. And the boys, this answer does not seem to be good enough. They just cannot generate enough pressure with Chun-Li on that Windwalker Monk. He's getting controlled way too much. Chanimal still not super vulnerable to that Windwalker damage. Now, I think the Super Frogs need to find something else, or the boys need to figure out something else.
Is that how you feel, though? The composition is the problem. Do you want to see a different composition as well, Zico?
I want to see a different healer. I don't like the Mistweaver on each map. I like. You can never push in. You can't get anything done. If he's a Feral Affinity Resto Druid like Cubsy, we know Gorecki plays it, and he plays it really well. You stay back, re-stealth, stun up everybody, open up opportunity for your team, disrupt the 2 free casting wizards, because you're in stealth. They're not going to be able to fear you and annoy you when you're trying to cross the map and shut down drinks. It's just way more effective on a map like this. On a small map where the druid can't drink, you're going to be way more mana effective.
Now, one of the compositions you said you really wanted to see was the Destruction Warlock Elemental Shaman Resto Druid. We do know that Smexon can play the Elemental Shaman. He's practiced it quite a bit. Is this something we need to see from the boys, and would that be a solid answer for what the Super Frogs has?
I think that would be a great answer. You have the Ele Shaman and the Warlock. They're going to make that Frost Mage life miserable, and I really don't see a good reason why you wouldn't pick it.
I think the only reason would be maybe if Smexon's focused on it less. In recent weeks. You think it's still strong?
Yeah, I think it's better than what they're running.
We've seen some not great Ele Shamans, though, too, recently. I think we've seen some Ele Shamans that, even in this tournament, looked a little bit lost, but every time we do see somebody who is rehearsed on an Ele Shaman, it's a force of nature, to be sure, Sid.
Yeah, definitely going to be playing with the elements on that Elemental Shaman, but maybe they don't have the reps on it. But other than that, like, I feel like they have to pull something else out because that didn't look good.
Okay, so
That didn't look good.
Yeah, basically, though, the thing that was mentioned as well is even if you don't do a full compositional change, you still have the option of just switching your healer. And Goreki,
On large maps. On a small map, I think that's fine what they ran.
okay, so it's only going to be on those large maps. We'll see what gets set up. The map has already been locked in. When you talk about Goreki on the Druid as well, he's the one who made Feral Affinity really popular for a lot of us as far as tournament play is concerned. He looked very good on it. I don't think he would shy away from it at all.
No, I think he'd be very comfortable with it, especially in this specific matchup. He's going to be able to get a lot of restelts off, especially if it is a large map, and he can move in. He can stun up Chanimal, stun up Wealthy Man without too much threat of really exposing himself. That's the main thing that's scary as a Feral Affinity Restoration Druid is if you get targeted specifically by compositions like Windwalker Death Knight, it's really hard to recover, but with what the Super Frogs have available, it's not nearly as scary, so I think he would be confident in picking those talents.
I think it's very plausible that we may see it come out here in the picks, and actually it is going to be Chanimal on the Destruction Warlock and Wealthy Man still going to be on that. Oh, okay. All right. Hook point, though. Do you think we can see Goreki stay on a monk in a scenario like this?
The thing about hook point is it's still very tricky. You can lose on the crowd control from the mage here. It's very easy to land CC on a monk in general, and on hook point it's a lot easier, but still I would rather see it here than on Nagrand, if you put it that way. Preferably though, just play monk, Ellie, Destro. I want to see it.
Nexen, Elemental Shaman.
Nexen,
Right now.
Earthshock.
Grounding Totem, just
Light
all the good
lasso.
stuff. Yeah. Elemental Shamans have been seemingly really good, and they're not going to go for it. They are going to have Goreki go on the Restoration Druid. I just have doubt.
I don't mind it on this map, but it makes more sense to play that pick on the previous map and play the previous map's pick on this map. That's what I think.
Yeah.
Okay. That's an important thing to have in our minds as we do move forward in this series. Super Tease, what do you think?
I don't like it. I think that Super Frogs are going to probably take this. I believe the score is not
It's incorrect.
correct. Super Frogs in the lead right now, and I think it's likely that they continue to establish it. I do think Smexon could be the X factor. Of course, we haven't seen the matchup play out, but after watching that last game, I didn't see really... There were moments where there's no ending resolve for 2 minutes, and they made 2 Wave the Crane pushes and did nothing. So they created the window of opportunity and took advantage of it twice and couldn't find a kill. That tells me that the composition is not favored. So I would like to see a different composition from the boys.
Yep.
Basically, if you have the monk here, the win condition that Super Frogs get is that, well, they can no longer play for the long dampening win on mana game, but instead they can just spam crowd control the monk and try to win that way on the Windwalker. Now, you remove that win condition from them, but the other win condition that you give them is, well, our druid can go out of mana and so can yours. So now both druids can go out of mana potentially, and we can lose on mana instead. So, yeah, I'm not sold, but I do understand why they go for it.
Well, we've also seen with teams of this caliber how much flux there can be inside of the best of 7. So this series is far from over, even if it does become a 2-0. And this day is actually far from over as well. We have this best of 7, and then after that we have I think you could potentially say the most impactful matchup of the day. I think that the last one, you can pretty much say that easily. It's going to be Colo versus Jamili. I don't know why I picked the two of them as the players as the headliner for that matchup, but we'll call that matchup Colo versus Jamili.
Okay.
I think we'll call it their grudge match.
Revenge.
Rivalry.
A heated rivalry. No friendly rivalry there.
What would you call it, Ven?
I'm just thinking.
Pure hatred.
I'm just thinking about the matchup. I think
Utter disgust in each other.
I don't think that's right. I think
It's
I think
also
these-
Ven's turn.
I think these players and these teams have the utmost respect for each other and their gameplay, and it's going to be an interesting series when we do eventually finish up this one between the boys and the
Are you
Superstar.
sure you're talking about the same people?
I am. I'm very sure.
Okay.
The only shore that we're on is Hook Point. Super Frogs versus the boys. Super Frogs already going to be leading by 1, and this one promises to be absolutely outstanding. You can't be a chicken here when you've already come this far. This is for all of the marbles, first place of an entire region for Cup number 6.
There is no running away from this finale. The last time we will see the Super Frogs and the boys go head-to-head before the Spring International Finals. But after this, we do have a tiebreaker. The winner between Never Lucky and the Mew Mew Kitty Cats to qualify to that Spring Finals as well. So do not want to go anywhere. There is nothing but action-packed Warcraft for some time. Chanimal low on health, Chun-Li equally so, as both teams go all out initially in this game number 2.
And we already see an opening here for Chun-Li. He's going to go and take it. Touch of Karma activated. Touch of Death activated as well onto Chanimal. No Iron Bark available. And that could potentially be the unending resolve. Let's see if Wealthy Man can weather the storm. Does it look like he is able to right now with that Icy Veins? Chanimal being very greedy, holding on to this cooldown for now. But it could potentially pay out. That Dark Soul is active as well. So Super Frogs are using a lot of their offense to kind of just stabilize and save a lot of those defensive cooldowns that they have. Very, very nice that they managed to get away without using the unending resolve there.
Yeah, nice trade there in exchange. Super Frogs, although are behind a mana and on Hook Point, it will be difficult to find opportunities to drink. Good crowd control initiated by Gorecki, but his team is crowd controlled as well, and they can't attack. Chun-Li and Fear, Thugonomics and Polymorph. So even though Cubsy was cycloned, Chun-Li and Thugonomics couldn't attack, so no damage to trade back, and that means the team will be safe. And this is the good teamwork of the Super Frogs as they set up a kill on Chun-Li. Fortified Elixir denies it, but I do really enjoy watching the crowd control coordination of Chanimal and Wealthy Man. Even though this composition almost looks unstoppable, we've only ever really seen them run it. So they run it definitely at the highest caliber, and I'm curious to see how it fares head-to-head with Europe in the Spring Finals.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting to see, as this is our final cup before the Spring LAN, and both of these teams want to snag a win on that final cup so they can go for that big momentum. And now we see Chun-Li once again activating his Touch of Karma, trying to get the Iron Bark used. Cubsy caught up in a Cyclone. Chanimal deflects with a Fear, gets a Chaos Bolt at the back of that though. It seems to be absorbed by the Touch of Karma. Chanimal using his Reflect as well. Not going to catch the Cyclone. Gorecki manages to fake that out and then get another Cyclone here onto Chanimal. On that Iron Bark cooldown, Cubsy in the mana department is not looking great. And like we mentioned, Druids don't have an easy time drinking on this map. And we see Cubsy now caught up in a Fear. Chanimal in a spell lock. Thugonomics is looking for the big Chaos Bolts here. Not going to be able to find it. Nice counterspell from Wealthy Man.
Cubsy actually gets hibernated, but no real damage to follow it up. Now stunning Cubsy, maybe they attack him. Sets him up for a Fear, but on diminishing return from Thugonomics. Potentially, I see Cubsy as a target for the Windwalker Destruction Warlock on Hook Point. If they can make a swap, catch him in cat form and burst him down, maybe there is potential there. Chun-Li keeping Cubsy in combat with that Crackling Jade Lightning. It's all about denying drinks. Gorecki looks like he's trying to sneak away for one right now, and Chanimal is trying to chase him down. Not going to be moving too fast on the Warlock, but does deny the drink regardless. Mana lead for the boys. The small map is paying off.
Yeah, and now we see a target swap here onto Wealthy Man. I gotta say, before dampening, I prefer it if the boys, go after Wealthy Man on the side of the Super Frogs. I think that netting yourself an ice block and just applying more pressure to that mage is definitely gonna be key in terms of burning out Cubsy's mana and also just controlling the pressure. Now we do see Chanimal gonna be caught up in that that Mortal Coil into that leg sweep. Kabzi has a lot of work to do. He activates the Innovate, gets Cyclone on it though by Gorecki. Gorecki looking to Cyclone the Trinket. Kabzi though managing to outrange it, but Gorecki's gonna get that low Cyclone onto Chanimal. Gonna pause out his HP for now. That push nets them that Gladiator's Medallion, and now we see another swap onto Wealthy Man. You can see the boys are definitely playing for the mana lead. Gorecki now in stealth looking for Kabzi, going for that Cyclone again. Is it off the R? It's going to be a full Cyclone. This could potentially be an Ice Block, Sid.
I think it easily could. Ice Barrier absorbing a huge amount of damage and managing to hold out for now, but Gorecki's Restoration Druid is phenomenal. It's leaps and bounds better than his Mistweaver, especially in this matchup, and perhaps him not just locking it in game number 1 may be the factor that costs them the whole series. He's been getting great crowd control. He is the initiator. He's also got the mana lead. The map is well selected, and things are actually looking solid for the boys overall. Now the question then becomes, what do they do on the larger maps when the Super Frogs lock in that territory? Do we then see Smexen come in on Elemental Shaman? I would like to see that, especially on something like Tolvaron Arena, but on the small map, the boys are owning right now. Gorecki again with 3 Cyclones, rotates over to Chanimal at low health. Kabzi's now got to time his heals after that. Gorecki gets counterspelled though. Could be an opening for Wealthy Man to bounce back. Chanimal leaves the Cyclone. Mortal Coil, huge heal from that. Chanimal recovers and stays in it. Gorecki now Cyclone, and Chun-Li could be in trouble.
Yeah, and that was actually a Cyclone onto Chanimal, onto Chun-Li's Touch of Death. A little bit preemptive on that one, but it's looking bad for the Super Frogs overall. Kabzi is running very, very low on mana. We see Chanimal again tanking another Dark Soul Chaos Bolt to the face. Wealthy Man, though, looking to deflect here with his Icy Veins. Gorecki just chasing Kabzi around, looking for that rake stun. He's gonna go for the Cyclone as well at the back of that. He manages to land it. Nice fear into Paralyze on Wealthy Man. And Thugonomics is teeing up big time here onto Chanimal, who's caught up in that bash stun as well. The entire team of Super Frogs is just being stunned up by Gorecki here as we see him caught up in that fear, but they did net themselves an unending resolve here. Super Frogs really don't have much life left here.
No, they do not. Dampening is kicked in. There's a massive mana lead for the side of the boys, and everything is set up for them to win here. Gorecki tries to sneak in a Hibernate. Kabzi was locked in the room with that Ring of Peace into an Ursul's Vortex, into a potential stun. That crowd control chain from the boys right now into Kabzi is so perfect. Cycloned on the Trinket, but I think Iron Bark should be enough with the peels coming out from the Super Frogs. But this is like a completely different team we're seeing from the boys in game number 2, and I almost never want to see Gorecki off of his Druid.
Yeah, and now we see Gorecki getting punished, though. He's going to hold on to that Gladiator's Medallion, and that's another thing that he's so good at. He knows when he can hold on to his cooldowns. And less experienced Druid for sure would have used his Gladiator's Medallion there and actually left an opening for the Super Frogs. Now he's still going to have that, and he's also going to shut down that drink, but we see Thugonomics taking huge amounts of damage.
Oh, the Super Frogs took the battle back. Kabzi catches him in a stun. Cyclones him at low health, denying both the defense of the Unending Resolve and the Iron Bark. Kabzi now battling back, showing that he is also a top contender for the Restoration Druid class in the North American region. Now stunning Gorecki. Thugonomics holds on by a thread. Chanimal going for those Chaos Bolts, gets Mortal Coiled away. Thugonomics banishes the Fell Hunter to go for a cast, but Wealthy Man's there to back him up. Thugonomics then abandons that push. Line of sighting some damage while he's interrupted. Good positioning, but Chanimal then follows up with the Infernals. Looking to ramp up here. Where's the Rain of Fire? Needs to be dropping that Rain of Fire soon to continue ramping up these Infernals to get big damage moving forward. Who's going to be the target? We saw Gorecki get blasted earlier on, but he's at the pillar. Chun-Li sees it coming. He knows that Chanimal is ramped up. He's going to touch up Karma before a Chaos Bolt is even attempted to be cast, just to stay alive and stay in the fight. Now Kabzi, though, caught in crowd control, and the boys look to swing back for victory if they can keep it going. There's no crowd control to follow up. Kabzi gets out. 7 more seconds on his Iron Bark. Should be enough to stabilize. Where's Gorecki? Is he in stealth trying to drink? Mana evens out. It's anyone's game.
Yeah, and this is the win condition we were talking about. Super Frogs can win on mana now that they're not playing against that Mistweaver. There's also an opening onto Chun-Li. I want to see Chanimal and Wealthy Man go after Chun-Li and try to take him out before that next touch of Karma is available. And Thugonomics also has his Dark Soul available. He needs to get a big, juicy Chaos Bolt onto Chanimal before that 35-second mark, when that Unending Resolve is going to be available for Chanimal. And now we see Thugonomics caught up in that Mortal Coil Chanimal line of sight, realizing that that's the next big threat. Before that Unending Resolve is up, the Touch of Death will not be available for Chun-Li, as we see Wealthy Man caught up in yet another Cyclone. Kabzi, though, completely tapped. He's gonna look to be paralyzed here, actually, potentially into a Rake Stun, actually a Bash Stun by Gorecki. Can he follow it up with a Cyclone here? We see Thugonomics going for the Chaos Bolt. He lands it onto Wealthy Man. Potentially an Ice Block here, Sid.
All right, let's see if they can get it. The boys try and stay in it. The mana lead is basically lost, and Dark Soul activated. Chanimal will be a force to be reckoned with. Chun-Li, the target. He's trying to retreat away, actually denying the drink. He's caught, though. He's snared up. There's Chaos Bolts flying. One connects. Chun-Li fortified elixirs, gets stunned. He's got Touch of Death. This is it. Chun-Li has to get a kill in 2 more seconds on Chanimal through Iron Bark. I don't think he's going to be able to do it. Chanimal gates away, or sorry, Chun-Li gates away, able to line of sight those Gliders Maledicts as Super Frogs begin to counterattack. Chun-Li holds on, Gorecki jumps in, they keep needing to deny Cubsy's drinks, they manage to do it. Chun-Li is just not recovering, dampening is so high. Likely that we see Touch of Karma here shortly. He's holding on to it as long as he can. He would like to exchange it for a cooldown, but there's no cooldowns to exchange it. He barely gets it off right before that Shadow Fury. We now see Cubsy locked down in paralysis, any crowd control to follow up. A Cyclone, Cubsy trinkets out of that to stay ahead of the damage at this point. Damage is more valuable than healing. You need to stay ahead of it if you want to find victory. Chun-Li is the most vulnerable on the map, and suddenly the Super Frogs have taken this game into their own hands.
Yeah, and now we see the Innervate is really the only line of defense left for the boys. After that, the win condition that we've been talking about is going to start to favor the Super Frogs. They have all of the momentum now. Gorecki is looking for a drink, but they're going to have an easy time shutting that down. Wealthy Man gating forward to shut that down. He gets him out of stealth, and Chanimal going to be very, very safe right now. Might have to activate his Unending Resolve, actually. He might be doing it too late here. He's going to get the Immolate off. Chun-Li, no defense available. Thugonomics caught up in that polymorph, and we're going to see Chanimal potentially going for a big Chaos Bolt here. Chun-Li for sure the target of choice. The Infernals have landed. This could be it for Chun-Li. Cubsy still with his Innovate available. He's going to make sure that his entire team is topped off. Wealthy Man though, no ice block.
Wealthy Man with no ice blocks, and Gorecki's jumping into the fight. Ring of Peace bounces Wealthy Man into it. Cubsy gets cycloned. Everything is set up for the boys to find victory in game number 2 as Gorecki could be the final bite to get himself victory. Too much damage and no mana to deal with it. They polymorph up Chun-Li. Gorecki needs to dispel this. He's actually going for maybe a re-stealth. Chun-Li's just trying to end this. How is Wealthy Man staying alive? There's basically nothing left at 36% dampening. Chun-Li should just go all in for the kill. There's nothing left. Iron Bark in 6. He activates it onto Wealthy Man now. That ice barrier, huge absorb. Chun-Li secures crowd control for the team. Thugonomics just wants to get a Chaos Bolt off at any moment. Infernals in 2. If he can get those Infernals down with Touch of Death, there's absolutely no way that Wealthy Man will survive. Chun-Li rolls over. He's on Polymorph Diminishing Return. Now on Fear Diminishing Return. There's no crowd control for Chun-Li. If he can get onto Wealthy Man, he Ring of Pieces Wealthy Man out into open, but Chun-Li then gets stunned. Chaos Bolts are flying in. They've got all the cooldowns. Why aren't they just going for it? Why are they going after Chanimal? He has Unending Resolve to trade. The Wealthy Man gets stacked up. Chun-Li moves over. Why are they still not going for it? Cold Snap available. Wealthy Man might be able to survive. Chun-Li needs to make a decision soon. He's waiting far too long. Thugonomics is taking the game into his own hands. Big Chaos Bolt. Gets polymorphed on the second one. Touch of Death could close it out. Unending Resolve and Iron Bark needs to be enough, but at 42% dampening, it simply may not be. There's too much damage with Gorecki adding it into the fight, and boy, I am happy to see Gorecki back on Druid. Definitely the best feral cat weaver in the world right now.
Yeah, every time I hear that he's going to be locking in that Druid, it is absolute meowsic to my ears. Now we have a tied series here. Zico, do you think this one's going to be back and forth?
I think it could very, very well be back and forth. I think maps are going to be a big factor for the boys here, and there's a lot of large maps still available in the pool for Super Frogs, so this is not too bad, but this also shows Gorecki managing to get that drink is really, really key for them. Recovering a little bit of mana at this point in the game, he for sure should just be completely tapped way before Cubsy. Manages to get that drink and manages to keep his team going. And then, of course, towards the end here as well with that Touch of Death, managing to jump in, add a little bit of extra damage in that cat form, and really close it out for his team. Nice performance, but it did take 42% dampening on the smallest map in the pool. This just speaks volumes to Super Frog's strength on this comp.
I don't think that there's any doubt that either of these teams are two of the best. Definitely two of the best inside of this region. The question is, we already know that they're going to be going to that global final. Who's the better team today? Who's going to win Cup number 6? We're going to find out after this. right, folks, all tied up 1-1. The two top teams in North America. Best of 7 here, folks. Let's figure out who the best team is, and then after that, let's figure out who the 4th best team is and figure out who's going all out. We're excited to see who it is. Is it going to be Colo? Is it going to be Jamili? It's a rivalry, and it's going to be really fun. My name is Rich. I'm joined by Zico, Super Tees, and Van Ruki. Who do we think wins Game 3, Elliot?
Well, Rich, I think we're going to be going to a large map selected by the Super Frogs, and that's going to allow them to have a lot more control of the situation on that Frost Mage Warlock composition. So it is going to be the exact same setup. Actually, it's not. Super Frogs, they're actually going to be locking in the Rogue Mage
Snuts
Druid.
Rogue is back, boys.
Snuts Rogue is back. Wealthy Man on the Frost Mage, Cubsy on the Restoration Druid, and I think this is a solid pick. We've seen them play this composition in the past in the early cups against the Destruction Warlocks. The Rogue Mage Druid seemed really good. You have a lot of control. The Assassination Rogue with the low cooldown Kidney Shot stun, as well as Kick and Garrote Silence. You just have a lot of control overall. A lot of single target damage to really rip through, and it's difficult for Thugonomics. He's going to be constantly snared. It's going to be difficult for him to get in a position where he can actually take down Wealthy Man and Cubsy. What's so funny?
Is there music in your headset?
Yeah, there was for a few seconds. I just got a little distracted by it. It was good, too. It was a banger. Sorry about that. But, yeah, I thought everybody was hearing it, and I was just like... So when we do jump into Ashmane's Fall, the question is, what is the win condition going to be for both of these teams? Elliot really started to talk about it, but Zico, the TLDR, how does each of these teams attempt to grab the W?
Well, for the boys, anybody is a kill target, but I think that the Mage is going to be focused a fair bit. And, of course, Thugonomics is going to be looking to shut down a lot of these crowd control chains. We're going to probably see Cubsy push forward, look for the bash into the Cyclone or the bash into the Polymorphs and the Rings of Frost. And then we're going to see Snuts trying to really do a lot of kidney shots and a lot of damage in general onto Thugonomics. And that's going to be their target of choice. So one team is basically playing offense. That's going to be the Rogue Mage Druid. And one team is basically playing defense, and that's going to be the Windwalker Warlock. And the Windwalker Warlock, they have lesser but more deadly burst opportunities. So whenever they get those big burst moments, that's really when they can look to force out those ice blocks or potentially kill the Rogue or the Druid altogether.
And the question is as well, how are those big pushes going to be used? As Zico did already say, the boys going to be in a slightly defensive position. So some of those offensive capabilities, we actually may see the Infernal. We actually may see that Dark Soul. We may see those come out in trade for the Vendetta to try to ward Snuts off. That may be how Thugonomics gets defensive here. The boys want to try to take this one, but the Super Frogs have a good composition into them.
Yeah, they have a great answer in this matchup. Thugonomics is most likely going to be the target for the Super Frogs. It's going to be up to Snuts and Wealthy Man to make sure they're rotating through their stops. Snuts is going to be so disruptive on that Assassination Rogue. Gorecki, I hope he's playing the Feral Affinity in this matchup. It could be a little X factor that their team needs in order to get a little bit more damage and pressure rolling early on. Sap on a Chun-Li into a full Cyclone. Good control displayed by the Super Frogs. Thugonomics taking a little bit of burst damage. Where's Snuts, though? Can't reconnect. Finally gets on Thugonomics. He immediately trinkets out. They're looking for massive counter pressure onto Wealthy Man at the early stages of this game.
Yeah, they're trying to get that pressure there, at least try to take away one of those ice blocks. There is a lot that they do need to whittle through, and like Zico said, limited tools to do it, so they want to try to be efficient, get it started as quickly as possible. A decent trade from Cubsy, though, when he does use that Iron Bark, though. Now Wealthy Man is going to be in a little bit of a scary situation, but Cubsy can sit that CC, come out and get the healing going. It's Thugonomics who may have to use that wall early.
Yeah, could be the unending resolve. We'll just have to see what Gorecki can get done. Manages to catch a huge heal. Now it's Wealthy Man that's in trouble. Chun-Li moving forward, caught into a Polymorph. Good control from Wealthy Man once again, and that's the strategy. Wealthy Man, he controls up the game, spamming Polymorphs on Chun-Li. If he can get it on Gorecki, get some Ring of Frost or Polymorphs on Gorecki, and that's where Snuts single target damage is really going to pay dividends for the team of Super Frogs. Vendetta's rolling. Thugonomics could be in some trouble.
And there's the push right there with Snuts using that Vendetta, and you can can actually see Thugonomics decides to use those offensive abilities to try to basically peel for himself, make it a less desirable trade. But no real pressure going to come out of it. Now Cubsy is going to be caught into the bash, a kick onto Wealthy Man, but Thugonomics is going to be caught into the kidney.
Yeah, and we do see Gorecki come in with a little bit of a late trinket on that blind, and the reason why was because Snuts hadn't committed his Vendetta yet. If you look at the Vendetta cooldown, it's going to be lining up perfectly here, whereas we do see Gorecki caught up in a big Cyclone here, though, taking a lot of damage. Thugonomics trying to hold on to the unending result, but it might be too late. He's popping it at very, very low HP. Together with that Spell Reflect, he's going to get out some Fierce onto Snuts. That Drain Life, the only thing keeping him alive. Unbelievable greed from the boys, but Thugonomics hangs on.
I don't even have that button bound. I have no idea how he managed to stay alive there.
Yeah, Wealthy Man was forced into his ice block, but Thugonomics, like you said, a little bit of greed, overlapping the Iron Bark with the Unending Resolve and almost falling. That was a surprising amount of damage that the Super Frogs had available. If you look, Wealthy Man, Icy Veins available, that major offensive 3-minute cooldown for the Super Frogs. Here's a full kidney shot. What is Wealthy Man going to be able to do? Spell lock onto Cubsy. He moves forward, gets the bash onto Gorecki. Can he find the polymorph? Wealthy Man gets it. Touch of Death rolling. Wealthy Man could be in a little bit of trouble right now. There's no Iron Bark to reduce the damage. Gladiator Safeguard will proc. Still a lot of pressure on Thugonomics.
This is not great for the Super Frogs. That was a swap on the polymorph from Gorecki to Chun-Li, shutting down their offense completely. Gorecki, though, getting caught up in a Cyclone. Cubsy really carrying the offense here. We see the Ice Veins activated. Huge amounts of damage for Thugonomics, but we do see Gorecki potentially deflecting that one with the Iron Bark. Should be stabilizing for now, as we see Wealthy Man caught up in a Fear, and now we see the pressure turning once again over onto Wealthy Man. Chun-Li going to be using that Diffuse Magic to get out of one of those Frost Novas, the Fist of Fury. Also nice crackling Jade Lightning there onto Cubsy to make sure that he stays in combat. Cubsy was looking to get a restuff there, potentially looking for a drink, and now we see a paralyzed double leg sweep here from Chun-Li, doing everything he can to really slow down the Super Frogs. Gorecki have the mana lead. If they can hold on to the game for a bit longer, they should be able to secure this one, Ben.
And Chun-Li, though, with just such a good sense of everything, of the tide of the game. It was in that last go, really him who was able to stave it off. He was able to make sure that Gorecki had at least enough time to get his Iron Bark back and also to slow down that onslaught of cooldowns coming in from the side of the Super Frogs. But the Super Frogs going to make sure that they know that the boys are not out of the woods yet. We're going to see constant CC going out onto Gorecki. Finally, Thugonomics going to have his offensive cooldowns now to try to out-aggress if he does need to. Thug, though, going to be caught up, can't do any damage right now, and doesn't have Chun-Li to peel for him.
Uh-oh, full kidney shot, Frozen Orb. It looks like Thugonomics is going to be in a lot of trouble. Gorecki does manage to catch the Iron Bark in a good position to heal him up. There's no crowd control for the Super Frogs. Unfortunately, the boys stabilize. They're looking to push in. Cubsy responds with his own Iron Bark. Now both Druids and both teams can be a little bit vulnerable without the defensive cooldown. Thugonomics has the Dark Soul rolling, looking to get some damage, but it's nuts. On the Assassination Rogue, so disruptive, landing one Interrupt. Does he have a follow-up? Double Mortal Coil going to be thrown out by Thugonomics to free himself up. Lands one Chaos Bolt. On to Wealthy Man, Touch of Death rolling. Chun-Li, what is he going to be able to get done? A second one. This could be the second ice block of Wealthy Man in the match. Chun-Li uses the ring piece to bounce Wealthy Man back in his range, getting more damage rolling.
I can't emphasize enough just how well Chun-Li has played so far, and the boys are relatively safe for quite a bit of time here, barring some crazy shenanigans out of the Super Frogs. The Super Frogs need to basically outlive another go. We're going to see those cooldowns coming in right now. Wealthy Man still does have that one block to rely on.
Yeah, and now we see Cubsy caught up in that cycle. I'm going to trinket out of it and they activate the Iron Bark onto Wealthy Man. Wealthy Man should be stable for now. Thugonomics, though, has his Unending Resolve available, and it's going to be that next bash onto Gorecki that really should set the Super Frogs up for a drink. I want to see them look for it as soon as possible. Cubsy goes for the restuff. Chun-Li, though, on top of it, and now we see the pressure turning. Wealthy Man looking for the polymorph onto Chun-Li. Cubsy looking for the bash. Nice leg sweep onto Cubsy, trying to do a swap here, but Wealthy Man reads it with a beautiful polymorph. Now we see the spell lock secured onto Gorecki. Line of sighting Cubsy, getting that restuff off, and he's going to go ahead and dodge, and there's the bash. This is the moment. We see Wealthy Man goes for the poly, gets into, oh, he actually lands it. Now I want to see Cubsy actually sneak away with this push and try to find a drink. Not going to be able to look for it right now. He's going to stay and go for that cycle instead, trying to take Thugonomics down through the Unending Resolve. Will we be able to do it, Ben?
I don't know. Now a Cyclone coming in from Cubsy to freeze any healing that Gorecki might have had. Gorecki with a beautiful bash, shut down some of that crowd control. Now kidney shot extends to CC for Super Frogs. Thugonomics still super vulnerable. Wealthy man, the final nail in the coffin with that Gladiator's Maledict with a nice flurry into an Iceland. Super Frogs up in the series 2-1.
Just such a good setup there, ultimately. This was so well played on both sides. You have tools left, a good clone low, allows them a little bit more time to set some CC up on the healer. Before we can even see Gorecki throw out that Iron Bark, we already see a Warlock sent right back to the Twisting Nether.
Yeah, it was really, really nicely played by the Super Frogs. Their RMD looks super solid. Again, here towards the end, we see the bash onto Gorecki. They blind him up first to get the trinket, then they bash him. They get the CC chain with the polymorph, with the repolymorph, with the Cyclone, swapping over the Cyclone to Thugonomics. Snuts knows they don't have a bash anymore, so he's going to go ahead and kidney shot Gorecki. And at the very, very end of that, we're going to see another Cyclone there and a triple DR Cyclone as well onto Gorecki. Just a beautiful synergy across the entire team of the Super Frogs, killing Thugonomics through that unending resolve. Perfect execution.
Those were the crazy shenanigans that I was talking about. You see that they have basically everything that they need to continue playing on script, but seeing just a DR'd Cyclone be enough time to mitigate. First of all, you see the Cyclone mitigate the unending resolve. Then you throw out another one and you take away that Iron Bark. It makes it so there's no script. They light all the paper on fire. Super Tees, what do you think we see, though, coming up in the next game?
Well, likely a small map, and the thing is if they blind lock Rogue Mage Druid, there are more than enough melee cleaves in the ocean of melee cleaves available to the boys to counter it, so I don't think that the Super Frogs can safely blind lock the Rogue Mage. I'd much rather see them maybe even blind lock a cleave of their own or blind lock their Mage Warlock again, give it another go. But because they won the blind pick, they will always have the swing match advantage. So that means the boys have to win without the map in their favor and without knowing what's coming their way. Perhaps they have a surprise to do that, but we will not find out until after this match, assuming that they lose the next one.
I don't have any stats to support this right now, but
Let's hear it.
Operating off of a feeling. I feel like throughout the entirety of this season, in the best of sevens, the idea of a swing matchup, I mean, it obviously does exist, but I think it's I actually think the blind pick's less impactful in best of sevens.
I don't know if I agree with that.
I think it's less impactful in best of sevens.
Potentially with the way maps play out.
Why don't you agree with it?
Why don't I agree with it? Because, I mean, look at this matchup right in front of us. I think this is likely to go back and forth. The only thing I could potentially see is, like you kind of mentioned, maps do come into play, and the one counter comp that we have seen from the boys was the Destruction Warlock, Restoration Druid, Windwalker Monk, and that did seem pretty good into what Super Frogs was able to run when they were running the Destruction Warlock, the Mage Lock Druid, on a smaller map. But I think if they lock in a smaller map, Super Frogs actually can still easily win that matchup. So I think it's likely that on the boys pick, they go to a map like, I was going to say a small map, but I guess Blade's Edge is kind of a specialized map. Not going to be too bad for them, especially with Chun-Li on the Windwalker Monk, going to have access to that verticality as well. Thugonomics. Destruction Warlocks are really good on this map because there's not a lot of places you can run and hide. If you're up on the top side of the bridge, you're going to get hit by Chaos Bolts for sure. But I'm just kind of wondering, is this a map where the Super Frogs can lock in the Mage Lock Druid?
Zico, how do you
What
feel?
was that?
What was what?
You know what
Rich
you
has
did.
been giving you dirty looks the whole time.
I know. I think he's just mad.
I think
About what?
I think he doesn't like you, Ben.
I don't know how that started. I don't know how that whole Rich or Ven hates Rich thing started. It's not Rich hates Ven. Rich loves Ven. You're one of the few people that knows my real name and not just my gamer tag.
Yeah, that is surprising.
We have a really strong bond. You're one of the only people who actually knows my real name. I don't even think everybody on this desk knows my real name.
Not a lot of people know that Rich Campbell is actually an alias, not his real name.
Rich W. Campbell.
Yeah.
That's not a real name. Who would do that? Who would name themselves that? As you can see, well, I guess.
All right.
Okay, we're going to see that Warlock head-to-head matchup. We're going to be on Blade's Edge as well. I want to talk, though, about the Game 7 the advantage. I do want to talk about that a little bit more. Zico, how do you feel the best of 7 shifts what we see in the typically best of 5 format?
Well, it's mainly the large maps that get affected. The small ones, there's so many different ones, you know. We already saw Hook Point. There's still Dalaran Sewers. We're seeing Blade's Edge. there's Blackrook Hold, you know, there's so many different small maps that you're not going to be able to play them all out if you have that advantage on a small map. Now with the larger maps, there isn't as many, but even then, I don't think it's that big of a factor. Tiger's Peak is still a nice map, and of course, Nagrand Arena, and we know that Ashamane's Fall, Tolvern Arena, they're all, you know, good maps for those wizard comps, so I don't think it's going to affect things too much. I actually think that the Super Frogs are very well set up in terms of winning this entire matchup here. It's going to be up to the boys to win on one of the medium-sized maps, potentially when they do play that, well, this comp that they're running right now. It's going to be a big performance from Gorecki, potentially carrying them forward in one of those wizard maps, because whenever it's small, they should have the advantage, but Super Frogs also have a lot of large maps that they want to pick, so.
Let's see if Super Frogs can get themselves on match point, or if the boys are going to be able to tie this one up 2-2.
All right, let's see if they can do it. Can the boys manage to pull this back and tie it up 2-2? It's a best-of-7 grand finals. The last time that we will see these two titans in North America go head-to-head before the spring finals, where they will then meet Europe and decide who is better, North America or Europe, later this year. And then after this series, we still have a tiebreaker. We've still got the Mew Mew Kitty Cats. We've still got Jamili going up against his grudge match, his rivalry with Colo on the team of Never Lucky. Their team had 2 shots at qualifying. They didn't make either. They've got 1 more left, but 3 strikes, you're out. Mew Mew Kitty Cats later on after this series. Right now on Blade's Edge Arena, there are not many places to hide, and with Destruction Warlocks on both sides, this could go either way.
Yeah, definitely could. Like I said, there is not a lot of room to run and hide on this map. However, there's also not a lot of room for Wealthy Man to kite Chun-Li. He's not going to be able to create too much distance. If Wealthy Man is pushing in, trying to get crowd control onto Gorecki, look at Thugonomics. He's in a great position. There's no line of sight for Wealthy Man. He's just going to eat Chaos Bolt after Chaos Bolt. The same is true for Chun-Li. Chanimal might be able to get a lot of pressure out on this map onto Chun-Li. And I'm actually very curious to see if either one of these druids is ever going to be able to sneak away for a drink. Paralysis into Bash. Good setup here from the boys. Looking to get really aggressive on Chanimal. He could be in some trouble. Thugonomics finds the fear on Wealthy Man. Chanimal all by himself at this point in the game. Does manage to survive off the back of that unending resolve, but big cooldown used by Super Frogs.
Big cooldowns used by the Super Frogs. Can they stay alive later into this fight? Touch of Death and Infernals available for the side of the boys. They combo those together. Chanimal could get chopped through Iron Bark even at this point in the match, and I am curious to see if they can set it up. Everything is built for this moment. Is Gorecki going to be the X Factor is also a question. Infernals have landed. Thugonomics, he's popping that unending resolve. He's casting Chaos Bolts, and you're not stopping him unless you Nether Ward. Chanimal just says, no way, Thugonomics, you're getting over eager. Nether Ward's a Chaos Bolt back into his face, and now Thugonomics has overextended his defensive lineup.
I just love how excited you got there, and Chanimal was like, nope, no way. Nether Ward straight back to Thugonomics. Thugonomics activated his Nether Ward, and Chanimal ran out of line of sight. A little bit of an outplay there for Chanimal. Now a fear on the Thugonomics. Gorecki getting swatted away by Wealthy Man as he moves towards midfield. Chaos Bolt lands, Frostbolt as well. Chun-Li rolls off the side of the map, looking to keep Cubsy in combat. You can see Chun-Li, he's placed his Transcendence in the midfield, and it's a good place for it to be. At any point, he can just jump off the side of the bridge, and he can escape to safety. If Wealthy Man and Chanimal, they decide to chase, guess what? Chun-Li uses Transcendence, gets back up on the bridge, and Wealthy Man and Chanimal have to march all the way around up on top of the bridge in order to get back in line of sight and start casting some spells. So that's one of the benefits for the boys on this map. Chun-Li is going to be much more of a stable target with the ability to really use that Z-axis.
All right, let's see what they can get done here with no unending resolve on either side. That's an opening, but Cubsy's mana, that is not a healthy amount comparatively to Gorecki, and I just love watching Gorecki on this druid. I'm very interested to see how he fares in the European scene, but as far as the European scene, Looney He's equally good on Druid, potentially maybe not as talented with the Feral affinity, but his ability to play Mistweaver Monk is going to be really an X factor overall when we do get to the spring finals. Right now the boys are developing a massive lead, as would be expected with their map selection and comp advantage. Chanimal gets denied on the Innervate heals of Cubsy. Greki once again dealing devastation with both control and mana management and healing output, allowing his team to also just blunder away their unending resolve with no punish whatsoever.
Yep, we'll have to see what exactly happens. Like we kind of talked about, Thugonomics is going to be relatively stable in this matchup until a little bit later on in Dampening, where some of the self-healing of that Destruction Warlock really is limited. Cubsy now repositioning into the starting area, looking for a reset on his mana. If he can sit down and drink, that's good. Like we said, Super Frogs, they were way behind at this point in the game. It's a bit of a disaster for the boys to just allow him to reset his mana completely. Chun-Li's trying to shut it down, manages to do so. Cubsy did sit down for a little bit of a drink, but still a massive lead in this matchup for Gareki. Now some pressure on Thugonomics. Good control coming in from Wealthy Man. What are Super Frogs going to be able to do? We have seen in the past, Thugonomics is the main kill target for their team. Later on in Dampening, he's just such a susceptible target to being snared out in midfield and getting bursted down.
Wealthy Man at half health and interrupted, can't access Ice Block, and he's in midfield. Thugonomics gets shut down though by Chanimal. Good backup, good teamwork between Chanimal and Wealthy Man to assist each other when they are in trouble. Cubsy managed to reset his mana just as Dampening entered the fight. A complete reset for their team and giving them another opportunity to potentially move to match point, even though the boys have effectively crafted what they would like to consider a counter. It's not entirely so. The Super Frogs can definitely pull off victory, so the pressure is on. The momentum is building. Gareki is trying to sneak away and drink underneath the bridge, or maybe just re-stealth, not able to find it. Bash the Chanimal instead for Chun-Li to dish out some extra damage. Really trying hard to get an Iron Bark with this attempt. They do manage to get it from Cubsy. One defensive cooldown off that grocery list. The next big push will be for that unending resolve, and I'm curious if Chun-Li and Thugonomics are going to split up their Infernals and Touch of Death. If they commit them at the same time, Chanimal can get a 2-for-1 exchange on his unending resolve. If they split them up, they could then potentially force it and then kill with the other later on. So you're curious to see how the boys manage their offensive cooldowns at this moment in time. Cubsy actually has a mana lead, and suddenly the Super Frogs are developing an advantage.
Yeah, Super Frogs are looking good in this matchup so far, but boys not doing too bad. Gareki a little bit behind on mana, but still, there's a huge capability for an all-in push. Chanimal caught in midfield. Thugonomics as well. Wealthy Man just teeing off on him, spamming Frostbolt after Frostbolt. Big flurry. Thugonomics forced to use the unending resolve. Gareki was getting really aggressive, and I like the fact that Wealthy Man decided, you know what, you're going to get aggressive. I'm going to use my Icy Veins. I'm going to try to start pulling out some cooldowns, and it worked out well for them. Thugonomics now down. No Nether Ward, no Trinket, no anything really. Polymorph on a Gareki. Thugonomics still in a little bit of trouble. Chun-Li looking to deny. Beautiful Ring of Peace knocks Chanimal off the side of the bridge. Look at this little waddling Warlock trying desperately to get in range of Thugonomics. Finally, Chanimal back into the fight. Can get some damage rolling, but heads up play by Chun-Li keeps his team in the fight.
That little waddling Warlock might be little now, but with Dark Soul in another minute, these Chaos Bolts will be gigantic. Who will connect it here as Dampening continues to mount higher and higher, reducing the incoming healing, and inevitably will close the fight out. A swap to Wealthy Man. Thugonomics lines up a huge hit. Wealthy Man has to Ice Block. Fortunately, no overlap on the side of Cubsy, but in the meantime, Gareki gets a Cyclone. And now potentially Wealthy Man in trouble as that Ice Block's defense will fade. Thugonomics sets up another Chaos Bolt. That's flying forward. Cubsy needs to deny that with some heals, but Chun-Li's on top of him. Interrupts his heal. Chanimal gets hit as well. Good crowd control from Chun-Li. Fist of Fury flying. Desperately trying to force an unending resolve. Ring of Peace knocks Chanimal, but not too far off the side. Cubsy in position to heal him, but did push forward, potentially exposing himself to fear from Thugonomics. Not close enough. Cubsy repositions back. Now the mana hugely in favor of the Super Frogs. At one point in time, Gareki was full and Cubsy was almost out of mana, but Cubsy's got good presence of mind, although they've had to trade Ice Blocks to find it, and maybe have to trade the final one. Wealthy Man's down at half health. Can they get enough damage out? The fears are fading on Thugonomics shortly. He's likely lined up for a Chaos Bolt if he can find it. Gareki, a little bit peculiar bark skin on his part. I guess he was pushing forward aggressively and just wanted to have that up in case they swapped to him. But it does open an opportunity maybe to switch to him again. Cubsy now with that Feral Affinity trying to set up some stuns on Chun-Li. Not going to be getting anything really off the back of it. Chun-Li's held on to Touch of Death. See what he can get.
Look at this poor Windwalker monk just getting polymorph into polymorph into polymorph into stun into fear into root. And that's the problem. When you see Thugonomics run away, when you see Gorecki run away, Chun-Li gets left behind. He gets crowd controlled too easily. Big burst setup here. Thugonomics on the top side of the bridge, moving forward, gets a double mortal coil, looking for a fear onto Cubsy, finds it. Chanimal vulnerable, what is he gonna do? Uses the Nether Wart to reflect the Chaos Bolt. Gets interrupted by Chun-Li. Wealthy Man backs him up with a good polymorph onto Chun-Li. Chanimal stabilizing. Now Thugonomics could be the one that's in trouble. Frozen Orb gets dropped down. One Gladiator's Maledict lands. A second from Cubsy. Gorecki's going to have to play catch-up. I don't know what his mana's looking like right now, and it's not looking too good. 25% dampening. Thugonomics is just such an exposed target.
All right, Thugonomics, 7 seconds away. Gorecki's almost out of mana. This is your map pick. This is your comp advantage. If they lose here, yeah, I really think there's almost no hope for them to win the series. Super Frogs will continue to advance their lead in points in the North American region. Almost securing a spot at the World Finals off points alone, moving into the summer season. Chun-Li just can't connect, crowd controlled away. Gorecki, what's he trying to do? He got a drink, I do believe. He's now got a decent amount of mana moving forward at 30% dampening, imminent. Gorecki resell, stuns up Thugonomics. Big damage. Now Chanimal gets stunned up. Damage on both sides. Infernals have landed for Thugonomics as he pulls the trigger first. Chanimal respects that damage on ending result, but then gets cycloned on it. Thugonomics is still low. Chanimal now has his call Infernal in 1 second. See if he decides to call those in right away. He does. Both Destruction Warlocks going toe-to-toe to decide whose Chaos Bolt is bigger.
Yep, they don't call them Destruction Warlocks for nothing. Chanimal landing a full fear on the Gorecki as they are pushing forward. 31% dampening. Wealthy Man trying to create some pressure for his team. Did use his Icy Veins, but Thugonomics did manage to hold on to his unending resolve.
Who's got the biggest Chaos Bolt? Is it Thugonomics or is it Chanimal? Gorecki.
Wealthy Man in trouble. It may not even be a case between Thugonomics and Chanimals, as Wealthy Man is likely to be the target here as Chun-Li is focusing him down. Huge Fist of Fury pressure. Chanimal sets up, goes to the Chaos Bolt. Chun-Li Touch of Karma, so Chanimal stops his cast. Does not want to add to the redirected pressure, but still, Wealthy Man in trouble. Blinks back up the ramp. Gladiator's Maledicts and Gorecki move in. That added extra Feral Affinity damage may be enough. Gorecki's tearing in. Wealthy Man gates to safety in midfield with Chanimal and Cubsy. Managed to hold on to that precious ice block a little bit longer.
Yep, Chun-Li now caught into a stun with no trinket available. Could be a little bit of an exposed target. Wealthy Man still trying to generate some pressure for his team. The boys falling apart a little bit in this specific moment in time. Good pressure, but Wealthy Man with only 1 ice block left, getting bursted down. Thugonomics, does he have any damage? Chun-Li trying to just solo him in this instant, but Wealthy Man blinks away back to the safety of his Restoration Druid. Now Cubsy should be able to find a Cyclone onto Chun-Li. Chanimal potentially looking for some damage, finds a big Chaos Bolt onto Chun-Li. Fortifying Brew gonna be traded out. Chun-Li ultimately will survive, but he is running out of cooldowns and running out of time.
Yeah, it's not looking too good here for Chun-Li on his map pick and the comp advantage. If they lose here, Super Frogs advance to match point and likely take the rest of the series. The boys need to get some work done. It's all up to Gorecki. Can he carry the team with this Feral Affinity? Can he add some extra damage, some extra crowd control, and some extra meow to find perfect victory? Gorecki gets stunned up. No crowd control to follow that up, unfortunately. Now trinketing out. Touch of Death from Chun-Li. This push has to net a kill. Chanimal Nether Ward, Thugonomics, Chaos Bolt. Mortal Coils Chun-Li away. Escapes to safety at the top of the ramp. Just in time for Cubsy to leave crowd control. MVP Chanimal.
Yeah, Chun-Li, though, with Touch of Karma, he can get aggressive. Gets caught into the rake stun. He's going to be looking to close this game out and take down Chanimal. What is Chanimal going to do? Wealthy Man trying to get some control of the situation, trying to get some counter pressure onto Chun-Li. Chun-Li now super vulnerable of a target, looking for a Fist of Fury. Thugonomics looking to back him up with a big Chaos Bolt landing onto Chanimal. Ironbark looking to reduce some of that incoming damage, but a beautiful Ring of Peace once again, forcing Chanimal on the bottom side of the bridge. Chun-Li, though, still not topped off, and Gorecki's caught into a full fear.
All right, let's see what Chun-Li can do. Evasive maneuvers, manages to escape to safety off the side. Mana now almost tapped for Cubsy. Suddenly the mana in favor of the boys. Perhaps they can take game number 4 and tie it all up. Bring us to a game 5 and a best-of-7 grand final. Whoa. Suddenly gets blasted in midfield by Wealthy Man and Chanimal. A tag team effort and a KO for the Super Frogs. They move to match point.
And that's what we call a big, beefy bolt. Super Frogs going to be able to take this one. Zico, how did they do it?
They managed to outlast the composition, and this is kind of what we were talking about even on the previous match on Hook Point. When you remove the Mistweaver from the equation, then it's all about that win condition on mana. The Super Frogs Resto Druid of Cubsy is always going to have an easier time because he has 2 wizards shooting out spells, and then of course you're going to have Goreki. He just has way more work to do. He needs to go in and set up those kills, and it's just so hard for him to get those setups off because every time he does, all of a sudden, there's a Warlock, there's a Mage casting on him, and every time Chun-Li pushes in as well, there's so much spammable crowd control happening all the time.
Yeah, and I feel like this is one of those things that just really goes to show it matters way more how you use your bolt, especially in a scenario like this. Supatis, I think that when we do look at this game as a whole, that's proven.
Yeah, most certainly is. And now if you're the boys, you can't win on your map pick. You can't win with your comp advantage. You're on match point. What more can you do besides potentially throw a curveball, throw in just a composition that you haven't tried at this point? But maybe it's also the map. That didn't actually look too great for them overall.
I got a crazy idea.
Mugambala.
Mugambala.
Hey, come on, man. We need a different prophecy here.
It's not. That wasn't the prophecy. First of all, Sid, you stole my perfect line, okay? Yesterday you threw me under the bus using the same joke twice, you know?
Are you even kidding?
Okay, I'm not letting this fly. I'm not letting this fly. We're going to break. When we get back, we will have fully regained, and we're going to find out who our champion of North America is. We are going to be finding out very shortly who our champion is in North America, and also we're going to figure out who the 4th place team is. 2 more series left today. We're already in the middle of that grand final. My name is Rich. I'm going to be your host. I'm joined by Zico, Supatis, and Venruki, and we already started to predict maybe what the rest of this series could look like. For anybody who's just tuning in right now on the other side of this break, what are you thinking, Zico?
Well, there's 2 options that I see for the boys. If we see a small map, Mistweaver, but the same composition essentially. If we see a large map though, never mind.
Small map going to be locked in, and so if we saw a large map, you wanted to see what? Destro Ellie? Yeah, makes a lot of sense. I was thinking the exact same thing.
Yeah, of course you were. So, Rich, why is the Resto Druid bad in this match?
So there are a few reasons that the Resto Druid is bad in this match. It's a smaller map, so it's going to be very difficult to get drinks. Zico, though, what are the other reasons?
Well played. The other reasons is, of course, both teams have a Resto Druid, and the team that is more likely to run the other Druid is Super Frogs. Now, the good thing about the Resto Druid, Rich, compared to the Mistweaver on this map is what?
Dude, Dilly just tweeted at me that he's not going to queue with me anymore. You got to stop this. I'm losing all my queue partners because of you. You never play NA anymore with me. The barber's retired. I haven't given a haircut in so long. I can't remember the last haircut I've given.
Zico's opened up a new business, sorry.
Yeah, we used
more
to...
lucrative business than cutting hair.
Man, we used to give haircuts all day long. And
you used to give the haircuts. I used to sheep people. You just used to shear them with your blade storm, so...
Snip, snip. Snip, snip.
Yeah, the barber. Anyway, the reason why we don't like the good thing about the Druid compared to the Mistweaver is obviously you're going to have a healer who's not going to be getting crowd controlled on his way to the target, but you're also going to have those extra rake stuns, and of course he's not going to be able to be polymorphed, which is another win condition that the Super Frogs has.
Yeah, and I also think another important thing is Goreki's flat out better on his Restoration Druid than his Mistweaver Monk, which I think is really, really important to consider in this matchup.
Especially when we have these two high-caliber teams going up against each other, especially when comfort is going to be important. When you are against the wall, Super Frogs just one game away from taking the entirety of this series.
Very curious to see if they can just 4-1 the boys, asserting dominance in the North American region and claiming first place finish going into the spring finals. Of course, after this game, assuming that the Super Frogs win here, we will see the team of Never Lucky go against the Mew Mew Kitty Cats. This is Colo against Jamili to qualify to the spring finals to be the fourth and final spot to go to the spring finals. So even after this series, you do not want to go anywhere because we still have business to settle other than trying to sling pies.
What?
I don't know, it was a bakery joke.
Oh, okay. I was like, we're not slinging pies right now. We're casting World of Warcraft Arena.
Nico's slinging pies over there.
What? No.
Whoa! Thugonomics getting bursted down. Big Chaos Bolt landing from Chanimal. We saw what Chanimal was able to get done against Colo yesterday with some huge Chaos Bolts of his own. So no one can be sleeping on Chanimal in this particular match. At any moment, he could end the game. Definitely scary for the boys in this particular matchup. But once again, matchup kind of comes down to mana on both teams. Either deep dampening, where the Warlocks become really susceptible, or one of the Restoration Druids eventually runs out of mana. So sneaking away for drinks is going to be ultra important for Gorecki and Cubsy.
Touch of Death denies Chun-Li's big push. Now, oh, maybe not. Multi-Man gets hit hard. Thugonomics has to exchange his unending resolve. Even still with that, dipping low. Double Mortal Coil, though, now denies it. He's cycloned. He can't be healed by Gorecki. Cooldown's blown on both fronts, but I do think Elite is establishing itself for the Super Frogs here as Cubsy can sneak away and drink, as Zico was saying in the pregame with his composition. There's much more pressure in their team's favor, so Cubsy can more easily sneak away from the fight, and if the enemy team chases him, they get blasted by Chaos Bolts and Frost Bolts, so it's not too easy to stop Cubsy from drinking. Thugonomics at half health, but Gorecki denies the kill with Iron Bark. Cubsy gets cycloned, I do believe, by Gorecki. Interesting that Nether Ward was actually dropped by Thugonomics. I'm bit curious as to what honor talent Thugonomics is running instead of that. I would have expected that it was pretty standard. Maybe it was being nether or spell stolen too frequently by Wealthy Man, so he doesn't want to give it to him in a Kleptomania spell steal, but it's not typical we see the Nether Ward dropped on the Destruction Warlock in a Wizard War.
Yeah, that is really interesting. I wonder what honor talent he decided to pick up, as you would think the defense from that ability would just be really good. You can use it to reflect the Gladiator's Maledicts, you can use it to reflect Chaos Bolts, just overall super solid, but unfortunately Thugonomics not going to be running that. Now full bash onto Gorecki. What is Cubsy going to be able to get done? Finds the full Cyclone, but there's just not too much pressure on the Chun-Li and Thugonomics in this particular moment in time. Right now, Super Frogs, they're up in the series 3-1. This is a best of 7, so if Super Frogs can win this game, they will win this series and win the tournament. which is going to be huge for them. Right now, they are the #1 point-earning team in North America with a commanding lead over basically everyone else. The boys in a solid 2nd place, but for the boys, if they could somehow come back, win the next 3 games in a row, it would be huge for their point standings overall.
What's interesting with the Super Frogs is that they were struggling a bit with Mew Mew Kitty Cats earlier in the day, early in the tournament, with that Rogue Mage. And they actually face ABC, which is a Rogue Mage main, in the first round of the Spring Finals. So I'm curious if Super Frogs are going to polish up their Demon Hunter Death Knight to try and deal with that. And if that ends up being the case, it could be a Demon Hunter Death Knight mirror between ABC and the Super Frogs. All of the teams need to prepare as many compositions as possible moving forward to that Spring Finals. Whoever is the most limited, I would guess, is likely the most likely to lose. We do see Greki and Cubsy both actually sneaking away, and neither team is going to stop it. It's like a clean reset on both sides. A bit surprising to see that advantage dropped by both sides.
Yep. Both Druids going straight to full mana, but like we kind of said, dampening meter doesn't really reset. We're almost at that point where dampening is going to start kicking in, reducing the incoming healing. Nice ring of peace there by Chun-Li, knocking Chanimal off. Chun-Li's been on point in this series so far with his ring of peace. Really control up Chanimal, knocking him out of line of sight, really avoiding some of the damage and control that he has. Chun-Li now turning his attention over on Chanimal, trying to get some damage rolling. Is he going to be able to get anything done? Chanimal finding a nice little Chaos Bolt on Chun-Li. Chun-Li could be in trouble, actually trading out his Touch of Karma. I'm a bit curious as to why. I guess he's not too afraid of dying in this matchup just yet, but that was kind of a waste of that defensive cooldown.
All right, major defensive cooldown blown out of the way for Chun-Li. Getting blasted by Chanimal. Jumping off the side, ducking for cover. Flying Serpent kick back to Greki, should be okay. Thugonomics at the pillar as well. Good defensive posture for the boys here. They're on match point. They can't afford to throw it away. They will just be knocked out of the tournament in 2nd place if they lose this game here. They need to win 3 in a row. The comeback train, but I'm not sure if they've been punched a ticket yet for that train. Dampening has entered. Mana lead for the Super Frogs, and that is not spelling too good for the boys as Greki tries to sneak away, maybe? He's playing on the outskirts of that box. I'm curious if anyone on the side of the Super Frogs looks to deny. Instead, Greki jumps in, but was denied on his stealth, so he did not get the bonus stun on his rake from being in Prowl. Chanimal now stunned by Chun-Li. Greki gets jumped on. They're swapping to Greki, trying to punish that Feral Affinity. Huge damage follows that up. Tons of pressure. Greki's just going to go down. He gets blasted. He shadow melt. What? He stayed alive as a result of that shadow melt. Very close call. Finally, we see Greki punished a bit for his Feral Affinity play. He's very cheeky. He's casting Entangling Roots at 30% in their face. Greki is total disrespect.
Yeah, they want to get the first ice block from Wealthy Man. What greedy plays from Greki, but ultimately he will end up surviving in this match. Shadow Meld and the Gladiator Safeguard Trinket going to be enough to keep him alive, which is really, really nice for the boys. They are on match point right now. That would have been disastrous. I want to see more attempts like that from the Super Frogs. Really try to punish Greki from making these really aggressive pushes in this matchup. Wealthy Man looking for a polymorph, gets denied by Thugonomics. The positioning, Chanimal, he's overextended right now. Thugonomics just serving him up some Chaos Bolts. Chanimal forced to use that any resolve, looking for a Shadow Fury, manages to shut down some damage, but now Mortal Coil from Thugonomics. He's continuing the assault, but gets interrupted and shut down. Once again, Thugonomics going to be positioning behind the pillar.
What tastes better, a Greater Pyroblast pie or a Chaos Bolt pie?
I mean, it really depends. What do you season the Chaos Bolt with? If you're seasoning it with Demons and Dark Souls, then that's definitely a delicious Chaos Bolt.
Yeah, I mean, the Greater Pyro pie is just burnt, isn't it? Like,
Okay.
it's probably just burnt.
All right, I hear that I'm needed. The way that it works, a Chaos Bolt is, oh my God, my voice. They don't want you to know. The way that it works, a Chaos Bolt is like it's like a European pie. You ever have the shepherd's pie and the big meaty, beefy, saucy,
Demons.
spicy. That's like a pie. Like it's like how Healing Stat would talk about a pie. It's like, oh, let's get a quick pie. And it's like probably got mushy peas in it and stuff like that. That's like what Adrian would refer
Drizzled
to
in
as a pie.
ketchup.
Then when you look at a G pie, now that's Thanksgiving Day pie right there. I'm not talking about that pecan stuff. I'm talking about pumpkin pie.
All right. Well, that was an interesting description.
Descriptive imagery there.
Yeah, I'll see you guys in a couple of minutes. Dampening is ramping 17% right now. Thugonomics going to receive some pressure.
All right, Grecky denies the kill with Iron Bark. Cubsy, how much mana did you end up get full? That's bad. Wealthy Man, though, gets interrupted. Chun-Li leads the charge. They need to get a kill with this. They're so far behind on mana. Wealthy Man not going to give them that. Ice Block denies the kill. Fair trade for a full mana bar.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely a fair trade. Wealthy Man still looking healthy with 1 Ice Block available. 20% dampening at this point in the game. What are the boys going to do? Gorecki's almost out of mana. Cubsy pushing in, looking for crowd control. Thugonomics denies it, but Chun-Li caught all alone behind Chanimal. Wealthy Man really looking to punish. This is the touch of death, but there's just too much control on Chun-Li. Finally, a double leg sweep lands. Good pressure now on Wealthy Man. He gets Vortex back on his blink. This could be the second Ice Block.
Oh!
Back of a beautiful interrupt from Thugonomics. That was a great offensive push, but now Chun-Li could be in some trouble. He's going to get out of line of sight. Chanimal, can he find the damage? There's a rake stun. Chun-Li portals out of line of sight. Beautiful transcendence. Gorecki doing everything in his power to stay in the game. Cubsy with a nice rake stun of his own onto Gorecki, looking for a cyclone. Chun-Li shuts it down. Now Thugonomics, he's been left behind. Great offensive push by the Super Frogs, but Wealthy Man is really vulnerable.
Beautiful play on Cubsy's part, but no kill will be netted. Now Thugonomics in trouble. They're on match point. If he goes down, they're out of this, and we will see a grudge match between Never Lucky and the Mew Mew Kitty Cats. Thugonomics goes for the unending resolve, his last line of defense. He barely holds on. Wealthy Man trying to snipe him and just close the series out. Mortal Coil denies the kill for now. Chun-Li crowd controls Wealthy Man. Cubsy now in a bash. Chanimal low on health. Thugonomics goes for the Chaos Bolt. Tries to fake cast the Nether Ward, but it's not actually available. Thugonomics wraps around the corner. Gorecki stuns up Chanimal. Thugonomics switches targets. Wealthy Man with no ice blocks. 1 Chaos Bolt. Thugonomics gets denied on the second. Chun-Li now needs to be careful. He's got no defense. He portals, but he portals to the opposite boxes. His team, Thugonomics and Gorecki, they're up across the map, and they've got a Warlock and a Mage in between them. Chun-Li charges in. Cubsy catches him. Gorecki needs to hold on for dear life at this point. Iron Bark needs to be enough. Chun-Li holds on with that. He's trying to push forward with that added defense, but even still with it, he's just crumbling.
Yeah, but now Chun-Li has diffused magic and touch of karming, rolling back up, and Super Frogs can't believe it. Chanimal traded out his unending resolve to get aggressive there. They don't take down Chun-Li. Now he's just so vulnerable. You can see Wealthy Man, he's really low as well with no ice block available for another 3 minutes. Cubsy looking to deny that opportunity with his Iron Bark. Wealthy Man now going to be sitting pretty. 33% dampening. Both these druids are going to start struggling. Gorecki sitting down, potentially for a drink. Is he going straight to full mana? Has he left Thugonomics behind for too long? These are the questions that need answering. Chanimal getting lower. Tries to get out of line of sight. Thugonomics caught in midfield. He gates away. Out of line of sight. Gorecki looking to top him off, but both these druids are going to start struggling.
The boys continue to battle to get a next episode and stay in the tournament, but Chun-Li gets caught in a bash. 1 Chaos Bolt for Chanimal. Gladiator's Maledicts likely to close it out. Diffuse magic on -1%. How are you alive, Chun-Li? Rolling into the wall to try and get back to Gorecki. 1%. Tournament life on the line. Catches a Vivify. Now they left Thugonomics behind. He's getting owned by Cubsy. Cubsy's just going to kill. Nope, now he gets feared away. Gorecki reconvenes, has to heal 2 members of the team, so low on health at critical mass and dampening. Mana still in favor of the Super Frogs. Momentum in favor of the Super Frogs. This tournament looking like to be the Super Frogs as Cubsy sets up for the kill. Stun into clone. No trinket. Chun-Li holding on to dear life. Thugonomics retreating back around the corner, but they're separated. Gorecki jumps to Chanimal to get back to Chun-Li. Thugonomics launches a Chaos Bolt at Cubsy in desperation to make something happen for his team, but that's not going to do anything. Now Thugonomics is left behind, and Gorecki and Chun-Li have to cross the battlefield once again, but I don't think they're going to make it. Gorecki jumps over, but Wealthy Man's all over him. Wealthy Man gets Mortal Coiled away. Chun-Li's now in midfield. He's trying to get back to the pillar. Wealthy Man blinks in with no ice blocks. Potentially an overextension. Potentially a punish for the boys. Infernals have landed from Chanimal. That's now a big threat. They can't push forward. They can't punish. If they go out in the open, Chanimal will tear them to pieces.
Yeah, but look, Wealthy Man has an ice block rotating back up in 30 seconds. Cold Snap in another 60. That's going to be 2 ice blocks for Wealthy Man. The boys, they have to try to make an offensive push at this point in the game because Super Frogs, they just have so much rotating back up. Thugonomics just such a vulnerable target, still hiding behind the pillar. Big damage on Wealthy Man. Look at Gorecki. Chun-Li looking to close out the game. Gorecki in some trouble now. Chanimal lands a huge Chaos Bolt. Gorecki gets out of line of sight, keeping himself alive. 45% dampening. Touch of Death rolling onto Wealthy Man. 6 seconds left on his ice block. Is he going to be able to hold on? Looks like he will. Cubsy ultimately will be able to heal him up. Chun-Li looking to find some damage. Thugonomics still rotting down low. Gorecki almost completely out of mana.
He's got an ice block. They got all the momentum. Just need a bit more damage. Wealthy Man pins down Chun-Li in a polymorph. Thugonomics goes for Chaos Bolts. One's flying through the air, straight at Wealthy Man with the stun, added extra damage. Ursul's Vortex as well. This has to be an ice block. Wealthy Man ducks for cover. He jukes Chun-Li with the Ursul's Vortex, pulling him back upstairs. Chun-Li reconnects. He's gonna pop that Earth, Wind, and Fire, gets Frost Nova'd on it. Great reaction from Wealthy Man, stalling out some of the cooldown damage. Chun-Li's trying to push him over. Infernals for Thugonomics. Can he get a Chaos Bolt? Wealthy Man has 2 ice blocks now. Cubsy sitting down for a drink? Nope, didn't get any mana. Gorecki, where are you on the map right now in cat form? Are you sneaking away and drinking to full mana? Because if you are, that might carry the team. Cubsy is, Gorecki didn't. No cooldowns left. Cubsy going back to full mana. Chun-Li stuck in midfield. Likely having a bit of a difficulty. Looks like he's back. Flying around the map, but at least he's back. Cubsy has half mana though. There's still 1 more ice block in the tank. The boys are on match point. 52% dampening and mounting.
Yeah, Chun-Li, unfortunately, in that exchange, had to trade out his Diffuse Magic and his Touch of Karma. Now just so vulnerable. Gorecki with almost no mana does sit down a little bit. Cubsy also, in the meantime, sat down and got some mana back. 54% dampening. What are they going to do? Icy Veins being used. Chun-Li so vulnerable. Transcendence behind the pillar. Chanimal in a good position to fear him away. But a beautiful Ring of Peace. Thugonomics low as well. Chun-Li has to make an offensive push. He needs to try to get a nice block. Wealthy Man already traded one out. Thugonomics gets interrupted. This is looking really good for the Super Frogs as all 3 members of the boys retreat behind the pillar once again.
Anyone can die at any moment on the boys here. The Super Frogs have total control of the fight and likely to take this, but afterwards we'll have the Mew Mew Kitty Cats against Never Lucky to decide the 4th team in North America to go to the spring final, so you do not want to go anywhere. This is not the last series of the day. We still have a tie to break. Huge Chaos Bolt. Thugonomics ducks for the corner, tries to stay alive, now comes back up without any result, but gets stunned on it. Cubsy's been doing a great job with Feral Affinity towards the end of this match. Definitely stepping up his game, carrying the team. Thugonomics is barely holding on. Gorecki has no mana left. Absolutely no mana left. Thugonomics gets connected by a Frostbolt. 1 flurry proc from Wealthy Man could close this game out. Wealthy Man gets counter pressured. Chaos Bolt is in the sky. He blocks it, denies the kill. Infernals from Chanimal. Chanimal is the scariest Warlock in this arena right now. Dark Soul and Infernals. If they can connect this Chaos Bolt on Thugonomics, he will not survive. Going to Cold, he gates, but he gates into midfield. It looks like Cubsy is going to be the one that tears in for the kill. Cubsy stepping up for his team here in this final match, and they take the tournament as a result.
Super Frogs gonna be the #1 team in North America for our last cup of the season. 6 weeks of play, and these 2 teams have been in the grand finals just so many times. Let's take a look at how it did unfold, because like Sid said, we want to be jumping into this next matchup, the final matchup of the night, as quickly as possible. So Zico, what happened in Dalaran Sewers?
Well, it's just a Mage Log Druid from Super Frogs. It just looks unbeatable with this composition. It comes down to it. Gorecki goes out of mana, and I gotta say, everyone on the Super Frogs really stepped up. You can see Chanimals towards the end of this one really did a phenomenal job. I'm pretty sure he reflected a Cyclone on Gorecki that actually net them the kill there. You can see here he's gonna drop his Infernals, Cataclysm while they're stunned. Then he's gonna move in here. Gorecki's gonna be looking for the Cyclone right there. Boom, cancels the Shadow Fury, reflects that Cyclone, and then Cubsy goes in for the final killing blow here, while Chanimal is following that up with more crowd control with that Shadow Fury. Actually not even gonna be needed, and it's small things like this that just makes him so good. And honestly, the Super Frogs in general, they kind of just swap roles there at the end. Chanimal becomes the Druid, and Cubsy becomes the Chanimal.
Yeah, so basically, I agree with you there, Zico, and also something that you said yesterday was very important. It was the idea that basically the Mew Mew Kitty Cats needed to place 1 place higher than the Super Frogs. That was like one of the main ideas to everything that needed to happen. Today, the story became the Mew Mew Kitty Cats just needed to win 1. If they won 1 of their matchups, because they started in the upper final, so they had 2 shots, if they won 1, they would have been guaranteed that spot. They weren't able to do it, and now we find ourselves in a scenario where there is a dead tie for that 4th spot. 280 points all around. This is an updated standings list. Method Black Wildcard Gaming changed my mind, and ABC for the EU region will be headed to the land, but we got to figure out who the 4th place team is in North America to join Method Orange, the boys, and Super Frogs. Also, it's interesting to note that the Super Frogs have become the more dominant team right now by points than Method Black. That really just shows how much Wildcard Gaming has started to catch up, and the Super Frogs have been able to keep their lead with the boys. Man, let's talk about the Mew Mew Kitty Cats right now. Let's talk about this matchup. 280 points for both of these teams. The way that the tiebreaker will work is it's a best of 5. So it's going to feel like a normal series that we typically see, but it's for 1 point. That's basically how it is going to work. So it's going to jump them up over the other squad. Do you have any predictions going into this one? Are we going to see the same composition again?
I think we're going to see DH, DK, Resto Druid from Never Lucky 3-0.
3-0.
Whoa.
Okay, chat, with that in your minds, do you think it's going to be a 3-0? Which side are you on? Is it going to be the Mew Mew Kitty Cats, who had 2 shots today to pull it down? They were not unable to do it against the top 2 teams in North America. Now they're going to go against their counterparts tied for 4th place. Or is it going to be Never Lucky, who should have the compositional advantage in this one, with a squad that's come together and looked fantastic throughout the year? They have played so many different compositions, finally settling into one that made the most sense for them, and it might be enough to send them to land. Time for the bonus round. Who's going to be the fourth team in NA to make it all of the way to LAN? It's been a long day here. We've seen these players play a lot of series. We got to see EU, we got to see NA, and now we get this bonus matchup. Jamili versus Colo. No love between these two players, but there's only room for one of them up on the big stage. And one of the big points that we brought up time and time again was, who do we think is better if you're just an NA fan? Which team would you rather see situated in the field of play that we know is going to be there? And I don't think we have a clear consensus on it. Ven, where do you sit on the issue?
So I feel like right now, Never Lucky overall compositionally is looking like a more well-rounded team than what we've seen M2KC really deliver. But that being said, with Rosita Jones added onto the roster and Jamili's ability to play multiple different casters, you can play the Moonkin, you can play the Shadow Priest, I think you can play the Elemental Shaman as well. So there's a lot of diversity there on that roster. It's just a matter if they can sort of harness and tap into that potential. I think in terms of who's going to perform better in a LAN environment, I'd have to go in favor of M2KC. Their track record just proves it. I mean, like we kind of mentioned last year during the spring finals, they were the runners-up. They did end up losing to Reform, but still a very impressive performance. And I think compositionally, the Paladin, the Assassination Rogue, and the Fire Mage, if it remains a good composition, is good on LAN, especially with the way they play it. It's a hyper-aggressive strategy, and they can overcome teams quite quickly if they are making little bits of mistakes. And all these things are definitely something to consider when moving into a LAN environment.
A track record definitely very important. I think the other thing with these two teams, though, is if you give them the month, these are two squads that I think can get better the fastest. I think that these are two of the teams that can improve even more if they are given more time. You have the side of Never Lucky that has been all about counter-comping, and 69% of you think that they can take it regardless of track record. And then we have the Mew Mew Kitty Cats, who are still starting to get their synergy going as a team. They just got Rosita Jones, which opens them up to so many more compositions. You give these teams a month, maybe they can just be up there at the same level as some of our top teams in North America. The gates are now open. This is going to be a best of 5. Same rules do apply. Blind pick on the Grand Arena to start it off.
First global cooldown, Jamili just popping his icy veins, wanting to get aggressive. I'm just not sure he's going to be able to get too much done. He did get a full sheep onto Colo, trying to get some damage rolling. And this is nice. M2KC finally bringing in a composition I think they can win with against this Demon Hunter, Death Knight, pesky business that they've been running into today over and over and over. Never Lucky, they've been taking a page from the Super Frogs, bringing in Colo on the Restoration Shaman, Valito on that Death Knight, and Zach on the Demon Hunter. It's a really durable setup. Once again, going to be looking for mana rifts. Are they going to be able to play the composition at the same level we saw Super Frogs just a little bit earlier? I'm going to imagine that they can. So M2KC, although with a good composition, could still be in a little bit of trouble.
Yeah, and a lot of eyes are going to be put on Zach here. He's going to need a big performance in this matchup to really secure them the win. We saw Snuts on the Demon Hunter being able to perform for his team earlier on when the Super Frogs fought off against M2KC. And now we're going to see similar strategies used. We're going to see Valito and Zach putting up a lot of pressure onto Rosita Jones. We're going to see crowd control over to Colo and Zach, and we're going to see Rubcub potentially getting mana burnt out of mana before Colo really runs out of mana. So the win condition for Never Lucky is pretty clear. M2KC, they need to deflect, they need to have good cross crowd control, as we see a Spear onto Colo and a Spellak onto Zach. They're really looking for a Polymorph onto Valito as well. Nice cross CC. Jamil is going to try to find one now onto Colo. He has an opportunity as that wind shear was kind of wasted onto Rosita Jones there. And now Zach in trouble, forced to use his reverse magic as well as the blur, actually. A little bit of an overlap there.
Yep, everything on the line for these two teams. Whatever team wins this series will be advancing to the spring finals. Keep that in mind. Both of them have been playing out through all 6 cups, putting everything they can into these tournaments. And there is just literally their hopes and dreams. This is what they want to play for, an opportunity to try to qualify for the grand finals later on this year, as well as try to make a big chunk of money at one of these tournaments. So we'll have to see how exactly it plays out. Never Lucky, still in a decent position. Zach hovering around 50% health. He hasn't really been going for too many mana rifts in this situation just yet. Rubcub does get gripped into an asphyxiate. Zach landing a mana rift. Rubcub's mana getting lower and lower. Colo still doing a good job, and we've kind of credited Colo on the Mistweaver Monk before. He was very aggressive with his mana, burning through it quite quickly, but in the last cup, he was able to hold on to that mana for a much longer time, and I think it's going to be really important for him in this match if he wants to hold on to that mana advantage that he is playing a little bit conservative, allowing Valido and Zach enough time to start building up some damage and get the mana rifts rolling onto Rubcub.
Yeah, and Zach and Colo, they need to take turns shutting down Rubcub on those drinks. You can see Rubcub again behind the pillar. He's trying to look for a drink, but that little archer right in front of him is keeping him in combat. And we got Valido with beautiful pet control, as well assisting his teammates in their quest to keep Rubcub around in combat. Now he's gonna gate to the other side, rooting up the pet behind the pillar. Rubcub looking for a restealth. Colo though dropping his totems behind the pillar, making sure that Rubcub stays in combat with that Earth Grab totem. And every single time Colo crosses the map like this, we need to see Jamili and Rosita Jones land the polymorphs and the fears like they have been doing now, and we're gonna see that paired up with big beefy Chaos Bolts as well. The only real way to stop this from happening is of course to have that pressure. Now Zach's turn to kind of goal keep for his team, make sure that Rubcub doesn't drink. Nice Death Grip into Asphyxiate, into the Mana Rift. You're gonna tax Rubcub's mana a little bit more, and that pet as well is gonna get rooted up. Now Valido getting feared into Rubcub, a little bit unlucky there for the team of M2KC, but Rubcub does get a restuff there. I believe that definitely came missed. Now they are gonna find him though. No mana to be found for Rubcub, unfortunately.
This is just devastating for M2KC. They have a great composition here, but it's just difficult in this matchup, and they have lost to this composition all day long. Currently 0-6 against it, I believe, so definitely an uphill battle. Never Lucky looking good so far. There's lots on the line for both of these teams. Infernal gets dropped out by Rosita Jones. He's looking to get aggressive on a Valido. Valido responds instantaneously with the anti-magic shell. That green circle around his character will provide him a lot of damage reduction. In fact, damage immunity to any spell damage, so very powerful tool that the Death Knight has available. Anti-magic zone, that purple shell as well, can make them very durable, but it wasn't traded out for too much. Jamili still has his Icy Veins rolling. I guess it was the Dark Soul from Rosita Jones. Doesn't want to be messing around. Colo in center field. He's got to be being a little bit scared here. We saw what happened to him yesterday through anti-magic zone when he played against Chanimal. Now Rosita Jones looking to take a page from Chanimal and make a swap over onto Colo, trying to get some damage rolling. Astral Shift trades out. Never Lucky survives. Rubcub, how is his mana? It's all about Rubcub's mana, and he was able to sit down for a drink. Not ideal for Never Lucky.
Yeah, and a couple of drinks like that is really going to set them ahead on the team of M2KC, so they really need to make sure that they are using all of their spells and coordinating who is stopping Rubcub on these drinks. Zach is also playing Rain from Above, a little page that he stole from Trill's book when they were playing this composition over at Method Orange, and it worked very, very effectively for him because it allows him to avoid a lot of the crowd control. A lot of the crowd control is, of course, going to be put over onto Zach, and that's going to allow him to get dispelled and then re-crowd controlled. But if he plays the Rain from Above, he can go up in the air after he gets dispelled and still dish out some damage. Now we do see the Frozen Orb dropped a lot of damage here, getting deflected by the Earthen Wall Totem as well. And you can see Colo's positioning is the same. He is running at Rubcub for the majority of the game. We see an Asphyxiate comboed with the Mana Rift, not going to be timed enough, well enough there. And Rubcub now behind the pillar looking for a drink. Zach though immediately on top of him, making sure that he doesn't get it. Jamili taking a little bit of pressure. Should be fine though with that Frozen Orb and that Temporal Shield now active.
Yep, gonna be completely fine. Temporal Shield should bounce him back up to full. Rubcub's gonna be using the Thorns as well as the Iron Bark to deny some damage. Polo getting interrupted. Valido in center field. Rosita Jones setting up his team for success. Looking for a fear. Rubcub now caught into a Fell Eruption. Mana Rift gonna be landing once again, and slowly but surely, Never Lucky is securing another one of their mana leads in this situation. Rubcub might have to try to sneak away for a drink. Anti-Magic Zone's gonna be used by Valido to slow down some of this damage as Colo is just caught into crowd control. He's been playing in center field for most of this game, and it's just made him really susceptible to the crowd control Jamili and Rosita Jones have available. Potentially he wants to reposition to a pillar, but looking like he always wants to try to back up his team and be one of the players that can push in and try to deny Rubcub drinks.
Yeah, and Rob Cup again now is going to be crossing the map. He is potentially getting that re-stealth drink off. Valido is right on top of him though. I would have liked to see Rob Cup stay in stealth there and move back to the other side. That's what we see Chaz and some of the other druids do, and that really has net them a couple of mana drinks. And now he's not going to be able to find it. Nice deflection here from Rosita Jones, spamming out the fierce, but there is a pet onto Rob Cup, keeping him in combat. He's not going to be able to find that re-stealth now, and in situations like this where Rob Cup is essentially wasting a lot of the time, I want to see more pressure onto Jamili. Whoever is chasing Rob Cup needs to they just need to have one person chasing him and the other person just applying pressure onto Jamili. That way you get a lot of damage out, you burn even more mana from Rob Cup, and that's really the goal here for Never Lucky. We do see the goal as well, charging towards Rob Cup, and Valido's actually playing with a lot of these proc-based trades to keep Rob Cup in combat with some of his damage over time effects as well. We've been seeing a lot of Death Knights do that to make sure that some of these druids don't get away as easily, and it's working out well for them.
Yeah, I think it's an intelligent choice as long as they can keep the diseases up onto Rob Cub. Every time that disease ticks, he can get one of those procs from the Azerite traits, and that will stop Rub Cup from drinking, as well as keep him in combat. So Never Lucky basically playing into their strategy. They just want to do everything they can to deny Rub Cup from getting out of combat, getting out of drinks. It's up to Jamili and Rosita Jones to make sure that they are buying enough time for Rub Cup, creating counter pressure, and stalling out the game to that magic number, around 40% dampening, where Valido's going to start becoming a really good target for them to potentially take down.
I'm going to be honest, I don't think Zach and Valido are dishing out enough pressure as we see a Spirit Link totem get forced out. Preemptive darkness there from Zach, overlapped actually with that Spirit Link totem, and the anti-magic zone and the Ascendance. Huge overlap here for Never Lucky, and that's going to put M2KC ahead. The thing is, Rob Cup, as long as he keeps his mana somewhat healthy to this point in the game where they can start getting out a lot of pressure, that's when he's going to get that hard reset that the Mage Lock Druid allows, and we're starting to reach that point. The only real defense now on Never Lucky is the personal cooldowns of the Demon Hunter, as well as that anti-magic shell for Valido. So if they can get some cross CC here, they could potentially set up that big reset. And Rosita Jones, though, taking quite a bit of damage. No unending resolve available. He was used in the last exchange.
Yeah, definitely. Rosita Jones really vulnerable. Rub Cup with no Iron Bark. What is he going to do? Zach and Valido starting to get some pressure rolling. Rub Cup once again trying to run away. Innervate's going to be used. Can Colo purge it off? Getting into position. He wants to deny some of that free healing Rub Cup has available with that Innervate. Now Zach going to be using that rain from above, flying up in the sky, getting some damage rolling on Rosita Jones. That's going to be super effective against a high health target like Rosita Jones, as it does do percentage-based damage. Frozen Orb being dropped out by Jamili. He needs to try to get something rolling. Rosita Jones is in so much trouble, finally gating away Rub Cup with the Iron Bark, but I don't know if he has the healing. Rosita Jones in a lot of trouble. Colo potentially even throwing in some purges at this point of the game. Double Shadow Fury coming in. Rosita Jones getting low, gets interrupted. Rub Cup with the regrowth. Topping, or not topping him, stabilizing Rosita Jones just a little bit, but still, there is no pressure for M2KC.
Yeah, and Colo is actually pushing in now, dumping a lot of his mana for those purges. It's doing wonders for his team at 36% dampening. Jamili is going to deflect that with the polymorph, but this could potentially be the end for Rosita Jones. No Iron Bark available, nothing available, and Valido is going to take him down. But it was... I want to say this is a good matchup and a good map for M2KC. Didn't look quite as effective for them, though.
I thought Orange were getting farmed by this composition running the Demon Hunter Death Knight Restoration Shaman.
Well, to be fair, they weren't facing...
playing. Yeah,
that's what I was going to say. It's not just the compositions. Yeah. So Kitty Cat's trying to pull this out, not playing it to the same caliber of the Super Frogs, and not able to find victory in a matchup that is otherwise significantly one-sided.
Yeah, I think that it still seems like the right play, though, to be locking it in, even if you don't have it all the way at its maximum potential, because look at how hard this matchup has been for them, how hard it's been for them to beat this comp.
I feel bad for M2KC at this point. I mean, they have literally lost against this composition 7 times in a row today, and this is just it. Jamili and Rosita Jones, they have to try to find counter pressure in the matchup. At this point, it's just Valido, Zach, and Colo just steamrolling them. Rob Cup can't catch up. Rosita Jones just getting swarmed by a Demon Hunter and Death Knight. Jamili's trying to do something, but just not finding the damage that they need. And now Never Lucky, they're up 1-0. Keep in mind, the winner of this series is going to be advancing to the spring finals. The loser's just going to be going home.
This is, after everything does shape up the way that it does, this is hands down the most important series of the day, right? This is actually determining LAN. It is the most important right now, and Zico...
Not true. The most important series decided the fate of your mustache.
Zico,
Don't know how that went.
Zico, when we do take a peek at the rest of this matchup, do you think that we are going to see these compositions all the way through?
I want to see, Never Lucky, M2KC have played this composition now twice on large maps and lost. I think, this is just one man's humble opinion, but I think it could be time to start baking up some pies. You have Rosita Jones, one of the best fire mages in the game. You have Jamili. We've been seeing him play nothing but fire the entire time. Rubcup didn't look too bad on his Resto Druid. Give it one shot. I feel like at this point, you tried it twice with the Mage Lock Druid. I don't think the map, if you go to Ashamains or Trollveron even, is going to make that big of a difference. You still have to win on small maps after that. So I feel like double Fire Mage it up. The double Fire Mage already beat Method Orange playing this exact same comp. So if you can play it to the same level, you can win, and at least you have main advantage on that point. At that point, you have two mains.
I think that's the thing that's really important about it. Obviously, when we do talk about a team like Easy Money, they were focused on that composition. But making that transition for these guys, it's only Rubcup who's going to be put in a difficult situation. He's put in the difficult situation pretty much every single tournament. So you have two people on mains. Now would be the time to try it.
Yep.
Because if they try it here and then they go down and we see Never Lucky on match point, well, you just go back to playing the same thing. The series feels the exact same way. Doom is imminent, but you go back to a composition that you've already had a couple of shots on. Never Lucky. Getting closer, though. Tolveron Arena. Colo may send Jamili packing, and he'll have a chance to get back in the next LAN.
Actually, Jamili will send Colo packing to the spring finals if he loses.
Good type of packing. The good type of packing.
It's definitely the good type.
Definitely is. Zico, if we don't see the double Fire Mage come out here, is there a time that we do see it? I feel like it gets worse throughout the matchup.
Well, I feel like you want to be picking it now rather than when your backs are against the wall. Tolveron Arena is a great map for it. It's a great map for any type of wizard comp. They have a lot of things available, but I think that's, if you look at comfort as well, I think that's the best choice, because that way you're going to have two mages on their mains. You're not going to have an alt Warlock compared to, having Chanimal on his Warlock, because that's essentially what we're comparing them to, right? Playing the same comp as Super Frogs, but you're having, an alt Resto Druid who's not going to be as good as someone who mains it like Cubsy, and you're going to have an alt Destro Warlocks. Rosita Jones is great at multi-classing, but it feels like the synergy that comp requires is also more than the double mage, and also Rosita Jones obviously not going to be as great as someone like Chanimal, whereas on his mage he can definitely be up there in that conversation. So I feel like it's a risky play and you should go for it. They don't go for it though. They are going to be going for that Mage Lock Druid once again, which, like we said, it's not a bad matchup. It didn't look too bad on Nagrand, but I'm not sold on it. It felt like Never Lucky. They didn't even necessarily play the DKD Edge super great, but they still had a good time in that match. So I'm not sure. They overlapped what? Spirit Link, Ascendance, Darkness, Anti-Magic Zone. They traded out everything at one point, and then at some point, when dampening was high enough, they just ran at Rosita Jones and spammed out that Purge, and that got them the win. So I feel like they can do the same thing here again.
I also do think now, when we look at this second game, we're taking a look at what the rest of the series is going to look like. I think we will see these compositions all the way through, and now, if you were going to make me make a prediction, I'd probably say 3-0 in favor of Never Lucky, in favor of Colo, Valido, and Zach. We'll have to see if they are able to pull that off. Was your prediction 3-0 or 3-1?
Who made that 3-0 prediction before we went to commercial, I wonder?
Did you make the 3-0 prediction? Because I know we got to talk about it off camera a little bit, and you're saying you were pretty sure that you thought that they would win, even if it wasn't a 3-0, when we talked about it a little bit. And I think your logic for why we could maybe see a game go the way of Mew Mew Kitty Cats when we were talking about it made a lot of sense, but I think the 3-0 also does. We're going to see them hanging out now behind the pillar for a little bit before we do get this started. Rosita Jones going to be on that Dread Steed, charging on in.
Let's see if Mew Mew Kitty Cats can clean it up here in this best of 5 qualification to the spring finals. They've been struggling with this composition not only the entire season, but the entire day. And it would be 3 losses in a row to the same comp if they lose to Never Lucky here and now.
So Rosita Jones immediately, look at his demonic circle. You can barely see it, but it's on the other pillar on the other side. So immediately, that's a pretty significant mistake. He's going to be stuck where he is for a decent amount of time. And I mean, sure, he can go to his gateway and gate away, but then he gates on top of where his portal positioning is. So it's not an ideal situation for him to be. He's going to have to drop his portal where he's standing right now, in my opinion, or he's going to, well, he could port away as well, but then his healer would have to also reposition. Rubcup now, though, going to be getting gripped into a mana rift right off the get-go. Rosita Jones looking for a Chaos Bolt, gets it off. Nice, triple DR Fear actually. A little bit of crowd control there onto Colo and Zach. Jamili looking for the re-polymorph. Colo though, he's going to sit through it, and yeah, he is going to relay his demonic circle on top of that gateway. Now, the problem with that is that his gateway, or his portal, is always going to be close to a pillar as well, which just allows Colo and everybody to have a great positioning on the side of Never Lucky. Rosita Jones is going to need to make his way over to Rubcub, or potentially relay his demonic gateway now as well. Not a great situation to be in as a Warlock. He's going to have to drag the fight out a little bit.
For most of these wizards, it comes down to coordination and bursted damage. Overall pressure doesn't seem to be the name of the game, and M2KC may not just have the reps, the practice together to nail that coordination that is necessary when facing these compositions that something like the Super Frogs have. Rosita is just constantly under fire in midfield. If he demonic circles, it's not really that far away. I mean, you can then use the demonic gateway, but even that is in line of sight of Death Grip. So I'm not a big fan of the demonic circle placement of Rosita Jones. Now shifting it seemingly into the middle of nowhere. The strategy must be to just demonic circle into midfield and then burst somebody down. Nice Nether Ward on the Gladiator's Maledict there by Rosita, reflecting that back onto Colo, but still kind of the what you consider them the basics of Warlock. I mean, Demonic Circle is not something that's been selected for some time on Destruction, because you typically want the double Mortal Coil with Havoc, but Chanimal has shown that it is necessary when facing these Death Knight melee cleaves to be able to escape to safety during high burst intensity. And the way that Rosita Jones is playing around the Demonic Circle, these melee cleaves can just do whatever they want.
Well, that's the thing, is when we saw Demonic Circle be really good was against the Windwalker Death Knight through a Tiger Eye Brew all in. So Windwalker Death Knight, they'd sit back, they'd build up Tiger Eye Brew, and then make a push. And it was really difficult for the Warlock to escape, whereas for this, it's less about the all-in one-shot. So I don't even know if I like Demonic Circle nearly as much as against the Windwalker Death Knight, especially now Rosita Jones without being able to get the Mortal Coils. It's difficult to really set up his damage, but I can't really blame him because Jamili with Polymorph is going to be putting that Mortal Coil on Diminishing Return consistently in the match. Rubcub did manage to sneak away, recover some of his mana. Colo sitting at full mana as well. This is one of those matchups most likely going to require deep dampening. Rosita Jones at around 30% health right now does have the Unending Resolve, but I don't really see Belito and Zach having the damage to push him over.
Rubcub actually did get a whole bunch of mana there with that drink, so that's good for the M2 Kitty Cats. But I don't like the positioning of the fight in general for them. You don't really want Colo to be able to stay at a pillar like this and still be healing his teammates. That's essentially the main goal here. We see a bash into a polymorph. Rubcub is going to position himself further away from the fight. I like that, but I want to see Rosita Jones and Jamili drag the fight to the corner. If you look at where the starting room is, if you go to the left of that, in that corner, that's going to give them the most amount of open space to work with. Instead here, Colo is basically always going to be able to run around and dodge as much CC as possible while still running towards Rubcub. And we're going to see some all-in attempts onto Colo potentially here. It looks like the Mew Mew Kitty Cats wants to go after him. There's a Shadow Fury onto him. The Shadow Bolt gets stopped though, and Zach getting a nice little mana rift onto Rubcub. Nice change of ice at the end of that stun as well to make sure that Rubcub is slowed at the end of that stun as he is playing that relentless talent. Now Rosita Jones looking for a fear and a polymorph. Nice cross CC, but Colo looking for Rubcub, trying to purge up that innovate, not going to be able to find it. A lot of good pet control from the leader though. He's making sure that Rubcub stays in the fight, and now Rubcub wants to make his way around that pillar, root up the pet, and look for a restuff.
All right, Rosita Jones under fire here as Jamili secured crowd control, but absolutely zero counter pressure. Likely going to be seeing that magic 40% dampening mark for M2KC to find victory, facing Never Lucky's Cleave composition. Colo's revenge. He spent the entire day basically praying that M2KC would be knocked down 2 series in a row, and he will be granted a second chance to qualify to the spring finals. They looked solid in game 1 and honestly are looking solid here in game number 2. This is the best map, the best composition option for M2KC, and they are starting to fall behind. This is trouble. Never Lucky will move to match point and take the best map away from them, and it's just looking so devastating for M2KC overall. Jamili trying to frost over the team, trying to double blink in, manages to get a polymorph on a Colo with that. Rosita's the one under fire though. Zach denies the drink. Rain from above, so Zach also taking a talent choice from Trill, adding in a bunch of ranged damage and can also avoid some attacks. Valido gets destroyed in midfield as well. Multiple Gliders Maledicts dispelled off. Spirit Link Totem from Colo exchange, but for unending resolve. And an easy trade on both sides as it's still anyone's match.
So they get the unending resolve there, which is nice, but again, a big overlap in terms of cooldowns. The Icebound Fortitude, the Anti-Magic Zone, the Spirit Link Totem. We see a nice double Shadow Fury here. This could be an opportunity where Rubcup could get a drink. His team has decent amount of pressure. Valido going for that Dark Simulacrum. What did he snag? It looks like he's going to be sending his pet over to Rubcup. Now Rubcup, that's got to be a Shadow Meld restaff over there. He's on the other side. Now Zach and Valido looking to counter pressure, but Rubcup has the Iron Bark. This should be a full reset on Rubcup's mana bar for sure. Rosita Jones portaled with his demonic circle closer to Rubcup. Rubcup not going to greed it too much there. He's going to exit that drink a little bit early, and Valido not going to be able to get his damage over time effects. Rubcup sitting down for yet another drink. Now Zach is looking to backflip his way over there. He does get one tick, I believe, from that drink, but one quick mana rift combined with that imprisonment is going to make sure that Rubcup loses it right away when he gets back.
Zach's been looking good on the Demon Hunter so far, and if Never Lucky end up winning this matchup, but they are going to the spring finals, that's going to make all 4 teams from North America running this composition, at least in some capacity, and they've all used it in the tournament. Method Orange, Never Lucky, the Frogs, the Boys, all of them will have run it. M2KC definitely have a mountain to climb right now if they want to take down Never Lucky. So far they are down 1 map in the series, but this composition on this map theoretically should win. Never Lucky has had good pressure on Rosita Jones. Jamili really has to try to get something done.
Another thing that's interesting about what you just said, even if M2KC were to win this and go to the spring finals, they're going to face Method Black, which is the pioneers of this composition. So it's not looking too fun for them in general this season. Just not going to be able to really do much, but the pressure should be mounting up for them. Rubcup, if he can get that ghoul that's pounding away on him, away from him, he could potentially look to get a drink. He needs to get a big drink here. And the only way he can really do that is if Rosita Jones and Jamili get good pressure here in a situation like this. Now the Infernals as well have landed, Sid.
Darkness from Zach saves the day right as those Infernals have landed. Positioning from Colo with Ascendance should allow him to top the team shortly, although at 20% dampening appears to be struggling. Polymorph on Zach is going to allow Zach to actually recover for free. Mana surprisingly evening out. Perhaps M2KC can pull this together, but if it's a close match on their best map, what's it going to be on their worst map? I think a pretty heavy one-sided match for Never Lucky, and because they won the blind pick on the swing match in Game 5, they will be able to pick the territory, and it will always be those small maps that they go for. Rubcup with nothing really left in the tank, trying to keep his team going. Zach could be exposed here. That Glider Safeguard is procced. Might be a Spirit Link Totem. Huge damage from Jamili. Multiple Gliders Maledicts. That Earthen Wall Totem of Colo needs to be enough. Is it going to be? I-Beam from Zach, Metamorphosis activates. Now with the Anti-Magic Zone, they stabilize. Will he? That Anti-Magic Zone looking like it didn't do too much there for Zach. Very close call, but still alive. And alive is a lot better than that. Spirit Link Totem seemed a bit unnecessary. Now he's full polymorph. Zach on the run. Things are starting to unwind for Never Lucky.
Yeah, but look at M2KC. They may have ran out of time. Rubcub only 5% mana left at this point, but he's in a good position. Unfortunately, the skeletal ghouls are chasing him across the map as he looks to retreat behind the pillar. Rosita Jones gets gripped in. Rubcub still in combat, unable to sit down. Actually, now, if he recovers his mana, this is going to be huge, but I don't think he actually has the opportunity, unfortunately. Doesn't get any mana back. Colo's still sitting pretty at around 50%. Drops the Tremor Totem, gets the Fear out of the way. Full polymorph, though, onto Colo. Rubcub looking to deny some offense by using Barskin onto Rosita Jones. Zach forced to run out of line of sight once again. Now Colo caught into a bash. Icy Veins is used by Jamili. He's looking to get hyper aggressive on Colo. Can they take him down? Astral Shift is going to be enough to keep Colo alive. Now Zach and Valido looking to get some pressure rolling.
Now the Icy Veins threat might not be there to try and kill off Valido and Zach. They can push forward and try and close this match out. Rubcub's totally tapped on mana. Pressure on Zach. This could be it. M2KC, they have to win this. It's their best map. It's their best comp advantage. They're not going to get a better opportunity to take out Never Lucky than this. They cannot afford to lose, but they're almost completely tapped on mana. Fortunately, they're getting good pressure. Zach gets bursted. Second Chaos Bolt denied. Overlapped with the Metamorphosis immunity. I think Zach wanted to immune frame that Chaos Bolt, but a miscommunication. Now they lose some disruption, and Rosita will connect the Chaos Bolt straight towards Zach. Limited defense. Colo is grounding totem. Drops it, but doesn't hit too many effective spells. Not a Chaos Bolt or a Polymorph. Now he's exposed. He Windshears the Polymorph, but now even more disruption isn't available. Colo moves in for reverse magic potentially, but he's caught in bash. You can't reverse that. Still pressure on Rosita. Ironbark needs to be enough. Will it be as the case? Colo gets blasted. He moved into center field to gain advantage of reverse magic, but instead they attack him. Good punish from M2KC. Colo gets bursted. Vortex out of the anti-magic zone. He's on the run, but Infernals have landed. He can't afford to be in midfield any longer. He's easily going to fall. Wraps around the corner. Catches a Riptide.
Rubcub.
They easily gonna fall, but now Rosita in trouble. Colo survives and Rubcub's crowd controlled. Dampening is at critical mass, and Rosita Nether wards for a couple of extra seconds. Rubcub connects to Swiftman. If he can get a nourish off here, Rosita stabilizes, and look where Colo is. He's in the middle of the map. Either Colo or Rosita could go down at any moment.
Yeah, that's Astral Shift, though. Colo should be able to survive. Rubcub completely tapped on mana. Rosita Jones looking to get aggressive with the Dark Soul. Zach and Valido, they have to interrupt him. This is danger time for M2KC. What is Jamili going to do? Full polymorph onto Colo. Zach's getting low, but Rosita Jones is the one that's going to fall. And now, Never Lucky on match point, looking to send M2KC home.
Do we see much of a heartbeat right now from the Mew Mew Kitty Cats, Zico?
I don't think so. It's not looking great. I want to see either a small map and the Fire Mage Rogue, or I want to see a large map and the double Fire Mage. They've tried this 3 times in a row now. Are they really going to go for it one more time? I feel like it's not going to work out for them. They've already lost on the largest map in the pool. You don't really have a better advantage than that. And it just comes down to the synergy. You need to have really good crowd control. You need to have good pressure. And when you land that pressure, Rubcub can go for the drinks. They weren't able to find it. Colo as well, playing so offensive on this Restoration Shaman. It's really what his style has always been like, and it's good to see him back on his main here, staying in the middle of the map, dropping the Earthen Wall Totem, activating the Astral Shift just so he can stay offensive and keep that aggressive positioning for his team. And that's going to net them enough pressure to finally grip Rubcub in and mana rift that last bit of mana and take Rosita Jones down from his Warlock and to his Fire Mage, hopefully.
Hopefully, maybe, because I do think Zico brings up a really good point. When you look at this matchup, I think it's closer than some of the other things that we've seen from the Mew Mew Kitty Cats, and it was a good call to go for it, especially at least once in this series. Maybe in the second game you switch something up, and then the third game you go back to it. That logic makes a lot of sense. But now when you have these 2 data points in this series, even if you have seen signs of life, do you really think you're going to get a reverse sweep when LAN is on the line? Do you think you can win 3 games back-to-back on this composition? I don't think anybody in a right mind would say that that looks feasible right now. So what is the answer? We're going to give them a few minutes to figure it out. When we return, we may see Colo walking straight to LAN. this could be the last game of this Arena Cup, could be the last game of online play for the entire season. And we are seeing the Mew Mew Kitty Cats get just destroyed, honestly, by a composition throughout the entire day. If they lose here, I guess that would be 0-9. That feels terrible. Like that just honestly, that feels terrible. And I think a curveball is definitely something that's needed. But luckily for me, I'm joined on the desk by some of the smartest, glowiest brains in World of Warcraft. We got Zico Subtees and Ben Rookie here to talk about what they think needs to happen as we head to Ashmane's Fall. What do you want to see?
You already know. I want to see Rosita Jones put on his...
Nope.
Not that. All right, well, Magelog Druid, Ashmane's Fault, still a great map for them. They could win a game with it. I mean, I'm not opposed to it. I don't think it's a bad matchup, but I think they could be a little bit more comfortable, just playing double fire mage and baking up some pies. That's just me, though.
Well, ultimately, I mean, if they are able to take this next game, I really don't think I want to see them play it again even. I just think it's one of those things where the matchup doesn't look like they're going to win it 3 times in a row. If they do win here, maybe they still do switch their composition. I really think there's a very real chance of that. And then also they would be doing it on the blind. Yeah, so the potential advantage to throw the curveball in the next game could be a heads-up play as you navigate through a series.
I mean, if Never Lucky loses this game, I guarantee you we're going Dalaran Sewers, some Blackrock Hold, something really small, Hook Point, where this composition is going to have a major advantage over what M2KC is really running in this matchup so far. So M2KC, they might have to consider a different blind lock-in if they go to a small map, but they need to focus on this game because their tournament lives are on the line. They already lost in the Grand Arena. They lost on Tolvaron, and this map isn't better than Tolvaron, so a lot of work cut out for M2KC in this game.
I want to say, we had a question earlier in the day, which team would perform better at LAN between Never Lucky and M2KC, and it seemed like at the desk we were in accordance that Never Lucky would because of their comps, but I don't think we've seen Packrats or Zach at LAN. That's really important to take into consideration when I think literally every other player has been to at least one LAN in the past. So having 2 players on your roster, which guarantees at least one of them will be in every game with 0 experience on LAN.
All right, well, just to counter really quickly there, because I do agree, but you remember the first LAN of last year?
All right.
Reformed showed up and they did not care at all. Typically that is something that we've seen, but a lot of the newer people who've come up in the World of Warcraft scene have just showed up to LAN, and for some reason they just have ice in their veins. I mean, Reformed is one of the...
Europe.
Especially from Europe. I actually do agree with that, because you look at who was one of the other players that you talk about with that. It's Acrolaws, but Acrolaws, I think you could look, though. I think Acro did really well.
Oh, I'm not saying Acro, but we've definitely seen teams struggle.
The previous year, some of his teammates, when you actually do look at Ratipai, I think Ratipai had one of the worst lands he could have had. Literally, first seed gets taken down by the 12th, right? So I think that we have seen plenty of players show up to LAN and have those jitters that Super Tees has mentioned, but in recent history, some of the teams have just showed up and looked great. Maybe we will see that from the young gun in Zach. Maybe we will see it from the likes of Packrat.
Very curious to see how they perform should they win this game here and qualify to the spring finals. M2KC are basically 0-8 for the day. They have to win 3 in a row against a composition that they have not been able to beat, despite playing a composition that we would effectively say is the perfect counter to cleave setups between that Frost Mage and Destruction Warlock. They just don't have the reps on the composition. The coordination is lacking a bit. They came close in the last game, but close is not good enough when we're talking about qualifications. Rubcup trying to take control of the ghoul around the corner so that he can then get to safety and try and drink, but Valido death grips Rubcup into the fight and right into a stun Mana Rift. Chains of Ice to hold him in it. Valido with good awareness there, realizing the win condition is burning Rubcup out of mana. Colo lockdown in crowd control. Jamili trying to fake cast Dark Simulacrum and then go for the Polymorph, secures that. Reverse Magic immediately breaks Colo out of it. Jamili gets a follow-up. Rosita likely to look for a Fear here shortly. Not going to go for the Fear. Instead, just focusing on ramping up those Soul Shards and looking for Chaos Bolts.
What?
I don't know what's going on with
Rubcup's
health.
Mana and health.
Well, his health more so than his mana.
Well, mana matters a lot too in this matchup.
What is he dying to? I feel like I've never seen a druid pressured like this by just the ghoul.
Yeah, well, the Ghoul does a lot of damage.
Does it though?
Controlled, I don't know. I'm just trying to trying to come up with some explanation. Maybe he's getting mana rifted and he's just not healing through it, trying to conserve as much mana as possible. But right now, I mean, maybe he's waiting for the mage food to heal him up if he can sneak away for a drink instead of using mana on rejuves to keep himself alive. But one thing's for sure, things are not looking good here for M2KC. Rubcub's mana getting low, hasn't been able to drink, now finally sneaks away, gets in stealth. Rosita Jones getting low, trades out the Unending Resolve for what I imagine is going to be full mana for Rubcub, and I don't know if that's a bad trade. I think that's fine at this point in the game.
It's not full. It's close, but it's not full.
It's no dampening, so I think he's fine.
We'll have to wait and see. Again, this is the second best map for M2KC in this series, and if they lose here, they're just gone. So at this point, they have to battle it out on 2 disadvantaged maps, and that being said, Neverlucky don't even need to play the same composition. Perhaps they've got a Wizard Cleave of their own that they could break out, and then suddenly M2KC can't deal with it. They are against the wall right now. 0-8 for the day. Qualifications on the line. Rubcub goes for a drink, but with limited defense on Rosita, Neverlucky could make a push while Rubcub looks to regenerate. Now Feared on his way back. Valito has been on point in this match in particular with the crowd control and support for the team and these Dark Simulacrums as well. We see Gliders Maledict get nether warded by Rosita Jones. Good reaction there. That's going to bounce back at Colo, deny the benefits. He's been on point with regards to the nether ward. Really, my only criticism of Rosita Jones is either just coordinating with Jamili for big burst windows or his Demonic Circle placement. I would almost much rather see him just drop Demonic Circle entirely and go for the Mortal Coils. Like you were pointing out, the reason they went for the Demonic Circle build was to deal with the Windwalker variant, the Windwalker all-in. This is not a Windwalker all-in, so Rosita could gain more benefit from having double Mortal Coil to set up for damage than the Demonic Circle that, in my opinion, he is not using to the best of his ability.
Well, Rubcub is positioned really far away, and once again, now M2KC, they're going to have a massive mana lead unless Zach was able to shut it down. We'll have to see. He was looking for a mana rift. Can he find one? Imprisonment on Rubcub will burn away a little bit of his mana. Now full fear on Rubcub. Nicely done there by Valito, stealing one of those fears from Rosita Jones. Rosita Jones and Jamili, they have to be careful. Dark Simulacrum, really powerful tool that the Death Knight has available. He can be stealing crowd control from Rosita Jones and Jamili, and if he lands that crowd control, that's the added damage and opportunity that Neverlucky really needs to potentially take Rosita Jones down.
All right, let's see what they can get done here. Mana's evening out. This is basically tournament qualification on the line for Mew Mew Kitty Cats. Colo's Revenge here against Jamili. A grudge match between these rivals throughout the spring season. Who's going to take that 4th spot? Because only one of them can. Colo recovering with Valito back around the corner as Rubcub was trying to retreat away and regenerate. Zach denies it. Colo moving in for a sneaky hex, dispelled instantly by Rubcub, but now the fear cannot be dispelled off of Rosita with the fear. Rubcub, he's just getting rotted down so heavily. It's a surprising amount of extra damage added onto him between Valito and Zach's mana rifts, and this split pressure is really burning that mana bar even faster. Full polymorph secured, anti-magic zone. He gets feared out of it, although now wind sheared by Colo. Good disruption overall, and I will say to credit of Neverlucky, throughout this entire season, they are the most improved team overall. They came in as basically a bunch of misfits that didn't have a place, and they managed to make a team together and build themselves up through the tournament, and they're 1 game away from qualifying to the LAN, and with time in between now and that LAN, I'm curious to see what they can get done.
Yeah, definitely. Colo wants it more than anyone else. Rubcub was able to sneak away and get full mana. Not the position you want to be in as Neverlucky. They have to do a better job. Rubcub's been doing an excellent job, way better than on Tolvaron, to sneak away, avoid mana rifts, keep his mana up high. Colo, in the meantime, hasn't had that same luxury. His mana is slowly but surely dwindling away, but he might be able to hold on to it in this particular match. For the Restoration Druid, he is required to go sneak away and get consistent drinks. For the Restoration Shaman, the Mistweaver Monks, the Holy Paladin, sometimes they don't have to do that as much as the Restoration Druid. So Neverlucky, if they can hold on, stay stable, they might be able to still burn through some of Rubcub's mana.
Zach breaking Colo out of that polymorph chain. Rubcub's done a great job to maintain his mana deeper into dampening, most certainly setting his team up for victory. Perhaps they can break the slump. Can they put a point on the board and then put 2 more consecutively after that? Potentially, it would be better suited to see the Shadow Priest Rogue from them. I mean, we saw Change My Mind do work with that in the European region, and Mew Mew Kitty Cats have Jamili Shadow Priest, Roasty's Rogue. They could do the same if they need that as a composition moving forward. Zach still low on health. Not much defense here. They don't want to commit the darkness unless there's a powerful cooldown like Infernals or Icy Veins, but with Colo crowd control, they may need to. Colo actually uses the Glidier's Medallion, and again, it's not typical that we see a Shaman use the Glidier's Medallion by itself. You usually want to use that in conjunction with a Spirit Link Totem or in conjunction with a Grounding Totem, so having used that Glidier's Medallion effectively, not with anything combined with it, now means when he's crowd controlled later, he won't be able to access Spirit Link Totem to survive.
Yep, Rub Cub once again getting caught into a fear. Valito doing a good job with the Dark Simulacrum. 21% dampening at this point. Never Lucky up 2-0 in this series. They're on match point. If they end up winning this, if they can take Rosita Jones down, they will be securing their spot at the spring finals. M2KC backs against the wall. What are they going to do? Colo's almost completely out of mana. Jamili secures a full polymorph. Zach could be in a little bit of trouble. Beautiful Vortex by Rub Cub. Keeps Zach in place, but so much mobility the Demon Hunter has. He's able to escape once again out of line of sight of Rosita Jones, healing himself back up. Now Rub Cub's mana still getting low. Has a little bit of an edge on Colo, but I think it's going to be fine. That was a beautiful sheep by Jamili, denying that rain from above from Zach. He flew up in the air, immediately grounded.
All right, Valito under fire here. Mew Mew Kitty Cats need to stay alive if they want to qualify. Colo's Spirit Link Totems a bit preemptive. I mean, it's for the Icy Veins and the Infernals, but I'm not sure if it was really necessary. At least it's an even exchange, and those threats won't be available for some time until Spirit Link is back. But Colo's out of mana. His team's getting bursted. Dampening is ramping up. Now crowd controlled. This is the most momentum that we have seen from the Mew Mew Kitty Cats. Perhaps the comeback. Can they do it? They need to win 3 in a row. If they want to stay alive, they need to do it at least now. Zach's still low on health, holding on to that darkness. It would be beneficial to hold that so they can make a push with it, stay out in midfield and be safe and try and crush Rosita. Rub Cub gets stunned up, gripped into the fight as they look to target him down a bit, trying to burn the remainder of his mana. Colo needs to be careful. He's bashed. Jamili may swap to him, although that didn't really work out, so perhaps Jamili will hold his damage for Valito deeper into dampening. Chaos Bolt connects onto Valito. Frozen Orb pins him down. Jamili and Rosita split up. Rub Cub sneaks away. Perfect positioning from the Mew Mew Kitty Cats. They've got Never Lucky in checkmate at this point, and this is their best performance so far today.
Yeah, they're heating up, and there's definitely hope for them in this series still. Interrupt on the Colo. Can they take Zach or Valito down? Rosita Jones in a little bit of trouble. Has the unending resolve. Trades it out. Looking to get aggressive, but Zach, they're just looking to push through. Second Gladiator's Maledict. A third coming in from Colo. Rosita Jones not getting healed up. Rub Cub getting feared once again. The game-winning fear from Valito. Beautifully done. Never Lucky going straight to the spring finals. Unfortunate for M2KC. They just didn't have an answer for this composition.
Oh, they definitely don't. Losing to it 9 times today alone. Back to back to back to back to back to back to back. And now Colo is going to make sure that Jamili doesn't make it to land. And also that ending, they're going to do it in style. What a beautiful way to round out the online play for the entire season.
Wow. It really looked like this was the game where M2KC are finally going to put a win on the board. And Rub Cub, he's behind the pillar, you know, he has a good positioning, he's drinking, you know. Colo, Valito, and Zach all stacked up behind the pillar. They're in that checkmate positioning. Colo is they're running low on defensives. Then they go in for the push, and then we're going to see an interrupt on Rosita Jones on the fear. Rub Cub coming back in, trying to stabilize Rosita Jones. He should have Iron Barked immediately when he came back here, honestly. A bit of a mistake on Rub Cub's end, and then, of course, the fear, you're going to be getting Dark Simmed right there from Valito. Rub Cub playing relentless as well, getting feared up himself. Unending Resolve is going to time out, and so is the Iron Bark, and so is the HP bar of Rosita Jones, and the dreams of M2KC of qualifying for this cup, for this LAN, sorry.
Yeah, this LAN, it's not going to happen. But when you look at this team, and Never Lucky, and it's fitting that these were the 2 teams that are going head-to-head. I mentioned it a little bit earlier, but when you look at both of these rosters, I think throughout the year, they're just going to get so much better with more time to figure out where they need to focus. And Rosita Jones is such an incredible pickup to the Mew Mew Kitty Cats. I think that has given them such a good shot to move up on the standings throughout the entirety of the year. And keep in mind, all of these points are going to matter not only in our spring season, but also in the second season season as well, where you can get that qualification into the finals. But it's going to be those teams above that gold bar, the top 4 teams from each region, who we will be seeing very shortly. Method Black, Wildcard Gaming, Change My Mind, ABC, Super Frogs, the boys, Method Orange, Never Lucky. Congratulations. We will see you all at the LAN. And I guess very soon is maybe a little bit of an overstatement. It's going to be in May. May 11th and 12th is when the AWC will resume. That is when we're going to have all of these teams coming through to Ohio, to the studio that we're at right now, to compete on the stage, to try to figure out who the first person who's going to make that run to the finals is going to be. But don't worry, there's plenty of more action going on in that downtime. The MDI is going to be getting started very shortly. That's actually very shortly. The MDI is coming up. I know that Twitter is a buzz right now with all of the teams who are going to be competing. I'm going to make my prediction for the MDI. Rev winning the entire thing. Rev is an absolute madman. But we'll have to see what happens there. Guys, it's been a crazy 6 weeks. It's been a crazy 6 weeks. It's been a lot of fun. And before we go, I'm going to make everybody make their prediction for who wins LAN. Without knowing, obviously there are a lot of factors that we don't know. But somebody clip this, and we're going to go through and we're going to see if anybody was right. Zico, who do you think's winning LAN?
Wildcard Gaming.
Oh, your Afro's on the line, I was going to say.
Whoa.
This is for...
This is just a normal
bragging
prediction.
rights.
You don't have anything to put on the line. You have no mustache, no afro.
Yeah.
The
Got
benefits.
nothing,
The
Sid.
benefits.
Yeah, the one benefit.
I'm already as low as I can go. It has benefits.
Wildcard Gaming is my prediction as it stands right now.
Okay, Sid, who do you think's going to be able to take it?
I feel like there's no way that Wildcard Gaming don't win after all the momentum that they're building. I think like if you're not betting for Wildcard Gaming, I'm not sure what you're betting for really. If you're
Method Black.
I'm betting for Super Frogs. So
you think Super Frogs?
yeah. What do you mean I think Super Frogs? Of course, I'm never going to count Chanimal and Snuts out in the LAN environment. Cubsy, Wealthy Man. That's a solid roster. They've been
See
looking
Looney?
good. They're the number 1 point earning team. What do you mean? What
Number 1 point
In
earning
NA.
team in the world, in North America, and also
They don't compete against EU.
the LAN factor is something that's going to be very important. We're going to have plenty of time to argue about this in the downtime, but be sure to watch the MDI. That is going to be starting next Saturday at 11 a.m. EDT. I don't even know what that time zone is, but I know GMT, 3 p.m. GMT. Guys, what a fantastic 6 weeks it's been. Thank you all for watching the entire time. We really couldn't have this show without all of your support. Thank you to all the players for all the hard work that they put in and putting on a show for us every single time. And everybody in the back, thank you so much. It's incredible to have this family here in Columbus, Ohio. We cannot wait for LAN. We will see you there for the spring finals.